What's the crack, folks? Hopefully the stream's up and running and it hasn't gone arseways as usual. That sometimes is the case. You get to enjoy a close-up image of my blurry face as I'm in dire need of an upgrade or some better lighting. One or the other or both. But without any further waffle, I'm Scarn here if you're coming from 40k Orkdom, or Dwayne if you're coming from Battletech. And we're doing a hobby hangout today. And today's guest is going to be Sydney, the Drunken Orc, who's a 40k Orc player. So say hello, Sid.
Alright, how
What's
you doing?
the story? How are you all keeping? How are things? What are you up to today? What are you doing hobby-wise?
Well, this is going to be the start of my hobbying for today. I've been at work all day on a bank holiday weekend of all things. I'm painting little tiny 40k grots. I don't know if you can really see them.
Give us a look. We'll put your big screen
I'll
there.
use my forehead as a projector screen. That's what it's used for nowadays. So they're on the lash. They've got a few beers. And I've already primed them and give them a dry brushing because, you know, the old slap chop.
Yes. The craze that's taken over the internet. I love
brand
when
new, never before seen.
Never before seen. I'm loving that craze that's taken over, and people are, well, what's slap chop? It's like, well, it's like if you get two old methods and mash them together and then give it a smexy new name, it's like that's slap chop basically. I love it though. I love how it's sort of stormed in.
I mean, I'm using a brand new tool as well to do it with. This is called a hair stick. And there's hairs on the end of the stick, and I'm going to use that. And these will take off. You'll get these, you'll see them everywhere.
Breaking edge technology right there. You know?
It's flashing edge,
Yeah, so I'm cracking on with Battletech. You don't play much Battletech yourself, Sid. I think the only time you've played Battletech is with myself. Was it in Dim's Gaff?
It was with you, Dim, and Sai who had a game. Although that wasn't the only time. The first time I played it, I was trying to think before when it was. It was with a mate of mine called Bogger, who was, I mean, he played a bit of everything. He played 40k, played obviously Battletech, lots of stuff.
Yeah, nice.
And it was would have been back in the 90s. I've got no idea.
Probably, yeah. It was really popular back in the 90s and 80s.
What version it was or anything. But, I remember that it's when you see the character sheets or the mech sheets and you go, oh, aye. And all the little sort of armor bits.
Yeah, I don't have any. Do I have any within hand's reach? I'd be surprised if I didn't. There's like a fucking pile of them here. Yeah, these boils here.
Well, maybe I can't see what you're showing.
No, well, maybe you can't see what I'm showing you. But yeah, just imagine.
Hang on. We'll do it again. Yes, that's them.
Very convincing. Yeah.
Not very much.
But yeah, back in the 90s. Yeah, quite a few people. It's a mixed bag. So like we set up a gaming group locally about a year ago, and it's gotten really popular. There's quite a few people have started playing the game and joining in. And I'm finding it interesting that there is that mixed bag. There's lads back from the 80s and 90s who haven't played since then and are getting into the game. And then you have new people who are totally new. And it makes for an interesting mix. You know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I played it was just I remember the map and it was just counters, like card.
Yeah, you could have like card miniatures and stuff.
Yeah,
like
there wasn't any models or anything. It was just one of these counter things. But we played loads of games back there, which were in the little school gaming club we had on a Wednesday night in the youth block.
Sweet.
Away from Warhammer, I mean. Away from Games Workshop, if you like. Like independent sort of things. And well, I don't know if that's right too. But yeah, there was some guns, but Battletech, I remember that.
Well, Britain has a big culture of that, though, don't you? You just have you're renowned for having gaming clubs as a culture. That seems to be your things. You're actually really good at building gaming communities. Historically, it's that's where it comes from.
That's what a lot of the colonization was based on. You see, just trying to expand.
Spread the word of wargaming across the globe.
What war games was taken a little bit more seriously. We like to do it full. So what scale is this? 1-to-1.
1-to-1. Yeah. Roll for initiative. What's a dice? We've won so.
Yeah, games weren't very balanced, though. That's the problem.
No. See, thankfully the meta has shifted since then. You know.
Yeah. Thankfully, well, I say thankfully, it has, for better or worse.
For better or worse, depending on your perspective. Speaking of perspectives, I haven't really kept in touch with 40k since I've gone a bit mad on the old bandwagon for
Oh,
Battletech.
BT.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've gone
That's
mad
what
for
I
it
mean.
now. Mad whore for it. So, you know, what's going on? There's a new edition coming. Like, have you heard
Yeah.
much? Like, what updates? I haven't been in touch at all. So, you know, what do you know, Sid? What have you seen?
I mean, I'm not totally genned up, and I only say that because I know there's Warhammer Fest on or something this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
But
Yeah.
I was on the lash all day yesterday, and I've been at work all day today, so I haven't quite caught up yet.
You haven't kept up to date on the old leaks,
no,
or
this is right. I know it's out in June,
right?
you know, 10th ed. They say they're going back to basics and they're getting rid of a lot of the stratagems because, let's face it, I don't if you know or you don't, 9th ed's just went the way they all have, for certainly in my sort of memory, just bloated, and there's too much to know, and you cannot know it all. It's just a vastly overweight, sweaty, ambling thing that just, you know, shambles along, and every game I've had's taken like 6 or 7 hours. If you play, you know, without any house rules. But they're trying to cut it back down, sort of streamline it. I like what I've seen so far. I haven't seen everything. I'm assuming a lot of things, but what I've seen looks all right.
I mean, I've only played a couple of games in 9th. I mean, the last one I played was with yourself and the rest of the lads.
Yeah.
But we did a custom scenario then, so I suppose
It was just a bit streamlined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut a lot of the sort of like the heft out of it, just to actually play and have fun.
I mean, like, if the scenarios are half the problem, then, and they're reforming them, then, you know, sounds like they're on to a winner. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's things like the terrain rules. Now, what I've seen of it is there was like one terrain. It's had an effect. You got a terrain benefit if you were in them. And I've not totally read up on this, like, but I never really fully understood the terrain rules in 9th, to be honest with you. It was always like, what's this? Is this +1 for this? And what's this? And how many is it? Oh God, get the book.
Yeah, I didn't get the whole terrain rules where it's like a Space Marine got better benefit from terrain than like the likes of an Orc boy. I've always thought like lightly armored troops would get more benefit from terrain than Space Marines. And surely Space Marines, you know, they're clad in power armor. Why would they be hiding behind cover, mate? You know what I mean?
This is it. If you're wearing this power armor, which was made of whatever it's made of, and it's as thick as it is, you know, you're gonna hunker down behind like a wheelie bin or something and go, oh, get in, I'm all right now. You know, all some leaves in the way. I'll be
blind firing over wheelie bins. That's it, just pushing it along and, you know, trying to avoid
that is something they've changed, though. It does give a save and throw benefit now to a maximum level, which I think is 3 up.
Right.
So essentially, Space Marines with a 3 up save wouldn't get any benefit from cover.
They need to be brave again, is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll get benefit if it's got lots of AP lots of AP on the weapon that's shooting.
But sure, that was always the way.
But if it's just flat 0 AP, they don't get anything. They're just still on the 3 up. Whereas obviously, like, you know, your lightly armored guardsmen, orcs, what have you, they will get it, which is, you know, that's quite good.
Yeah, it's not bad going.
Well, you know.
I've seen some of the new miniatures, some of the Tyranids, and the design seems to be going in a fairly different direction aesthetically from the previous needs.
Look at the first gen ones, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, well. I suppose like some of the Xenos factions over the years have changed. Like Orcs went from like a silly to a more serious look, and then they've shifted the aesthetic of them again into this sort of newer computer animated or whatever drawings, where it shifted again the aesthetic. So you can see through the generations where orcs have the look of them, the general look of them has changed, and I think it's the same for the likes of Tyranids. They've shifted dramatically visually. If you look at the second ed stuff or the Rogue Trader stuff, what bits of it that were there, and then going into third ed, you know, the look changed again, and then it's shifting. Whereas some other factions, it's like they got the look of them they got what they wanted, the aesthetic of them, pretty early on, and they've kind of
Yeah,
really
and they
stuck
just
to them.
stuck with it. I
Yeah.
don't think, and I may be wrong here, because I mean, like you say, 40k. I got back into it probably only 3 years ago now, just over 3 years ago. But from what I've seen at Tau, I don't know if they've changed a great deal.
I think I think they got, yeah. I think they had a strong aesthetic, and
Mhm.
they've kept that continuity going through. So it
Yeah.
always, well, things may be different and getting bigger in different units or whatever, they still look Tau. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'd say the same for the likes of Eldar. Eldar have always had a certain
Yeah.
look about them, and they still have that aesthetic running through their line over the years. And Space Marines as well. I know things are changing a little bit, but you can still
Mhm.
tell like a Space Marine now
Yeah.
as to like back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I do like some of the new models that have came out. The Space Marine ones. If you like the Space Marine aesthetic, like you say, you'll like them. Nothing's really bowled us over with them. Like, as in, wow, it's so different. That's a different gun. I did catch a little bit of the Warhammer thing yesterday morning before I went out, and they showed the new squad. I forget what they're called. Infernus squad, I think. It's basically Primaris with flamers, and they showed the 10 models in the squad. And you had the little fellas. I talk about it in front of the big screen. The little one that looks like Penfold from Danger Mouse,
Yeah.
and then the big bald fella. And they went, and look at the dynamic posing, and fucking 8 of them were identical. Absolutely identical. There was a sergeant who was sort of like got his bolt pistol out, and there was one of them for some reason that just got, I've got a grenade. But the other 8 were all just I'm like, that is not dynamic. You can't be going on about that.
Look at
When
the
we can see them.
dynamism.
Yeah. That's such dynamic pose. No, mate. No.
Nah,
They're
you've
behind you. Oh, take it down, take it down.
turn around.
Yeah, it was
Like
just a
fucking
bit.
Punch and Judy. Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
made as a chocolate bit. I mean, there might be options.
Look, we'll see what happens. I've heard that they're bringing back the concept of the retinue. Is that a thing? Like that used to be back in the day, like third edition, where you could have it was like a command squad. It was like a bodyguard unit
Hmm.
for your HQ. So like we used to get
Yeah.
the knobs.
Hmm.
You'd have a knob with the WAB on her knob, and then you'd put your war boss in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apparently,
Mhm.
characters are being able to join units again. Which if that
Yeah.
comes back, like I think that's good. I think that's a good change.
Well, that is happening. I know the characters can join units now. I don't know if it's any character can go in any unit, or if it's limited to specific characters to specific units.
Right? Yeah.
And then, like, I mean, it's different with orcs because it's all ragtag and you can stick whatever you want with anyone. At least it is up there. I don't know it'll be
Yeah.
that when the rules come out. But like you couldn't have with Marines say like a Terminator captain leading first.
Well, yeah. See,
I
they look.
mean, maybe you could. I don't know. Again, this is just speculation. So they
They
haven't
used
said.
to be cheese back in the day. So when I was playing back in like Third Ed and the
Mhm.
arse end of Fort before they brought out the Codex for them, you could do this with Space Wolves. Space Wolves scouts used to be able to outflank, and they were veterans. And then the cheesy bastards used to attach Wolf Guard. You could attach a Wolf Guard to a unit.
Mhm.
You could give a Wolf Guard Terminator armor. So if you gave him Terminator armor, you could attach him to a scout squad. So you could have an outflanking Terminator with like an assault cannon or whatever. So you could
Mhm.
do weird cheese things like that. But
Yeah.
hopefully they'll avoid such shenanigans. I mean, that went the way of the dodo with the Tordad Codex. But yeah, I can understand. Stuff. There were things like that back in the day.
Mhm.
People
Well,
exploiting.
I mean, yeah, they might sort of. You'd hope they wouldn't allow stuff like that back in, but they've got a habit of just not thinking about it. The amount of times something slips through just for a misworded rule or just a bit of oversight, and then somebody goes, "Oh, have you seen this? It's utterly broken." They go, "What? Did we let that in? Did we? Oh, did it get through the net?" Sack Clive. It's not foolproof. At least it hasn't been in the past.
Well,
But
shit,
like,
whatever
go on.
rule you make, there's always going to be exceptions to it. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's always going to be those edge cases, especially with factions that aren't really the focus. Like with
Yeah.
orcs when they did what was it? Was it Sixth Ed where every unit leader became like a HQ or a character, and then they forgot that like orcs had a unit made out of nothing but characters, the knobs. So we had like a special, like we had this weird unit then because we had a unit made purely of characters. So that's where like the boss knobs came from. It was the distinction between knob and then actual character knobs. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Which is what I suppose if you weren't playing the game at the time, you'd be like, well, where did boss knob come from? It's like because a rule came along and then they didn't realize that orcs broke that rule without trying. It's interesting to see that game design wise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember. Well, I don't know sixth, but yeah, there's always going to be mistakes. Some of them are more obvious, but a lot of them are just people take the mick, and you think, how way, man. Get yourself a shake. You know it doesn't mean that.
Oh, what? Yeah. There is that.
I think
It's
the worst one I've seen was in ninth, and there was the Ghosts characters from the novels.
Yeah.
They brought out the rules for that unit, and the big fella try again brag with the auto cannon.
Right.
He had an auto cannon and he had grenades and that. And the rule was that when he shoots, if he doesn't hit anything with his auto cannon, he can immediately shoot again. So they were just walking him up and throwing a grenade and doing whatever the grenade done, and then going, he hasn't hit anything with his auto cannon, so he gets to shoot again. So he threw another grenade. Right, he hasn't hit anything with his auto cannon, so throw another grenade. And you might as well just go, right, anything within range is dead. Just get rid of it, because we'll be here all day where you're trying to kill everything with D6 strength 3 hits. We might as well assume you're going to get there since you can keep doing it.
Right, okay.
It was obvious. It was obvious when you look at it. This isn't what they meant.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far that actually got. It probably cropped up one afternoon and was, sorted out the following day. But
I think that's sort of.
Going,
I suppose that brings up like two types of player though. There's the players who are like, well, it doesn't say that I can't do it, and then there's players who are going to be, well, it doesn't say that you can. You know what I mean? It's like, what do the rules actually say? And I suppose you're getting into rules lawyering territory at that stage. But it's like, that for me that would be a bit I would see that as taking the piss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I suppose not everyone sees things that way, Sid.
Well, this is it. Everyone's different. People do these things like hobbies and war games and anything, I suppose, for different reasons. Some people just want to pass a few hours with their mates and have a laugh, and some want to crush people's souls and grind their will to live into the dust. Which
I mean, if that's how you get your kicks, just don't come near me.
Unfortunately, there is people out there who I think definitely do get the kicks like that.
Look, thankfully they're few and far between.
Yeah.
We shall go and check out the old comment section. We have a few viewers. We have PJS is in the house. What's the story, bud? Heritage Junction is asking me about commission for a while, a few weeks. Are the vehicle packs available anytime soon? The vehicle packs, if you're talking about Battletech, Dave, they won't be out until the Kickstarter, which I think is next year. So there won't be any vehicle packs until they hit retail next year with the Kickstarter. That's when that whole wave of vehicles for Battletech is coming out. There won't be any until then, to the best of my knowledge. We have Clint who showed up. Don't forget to hit the like button, peeps. Exactly, Clint. Tent is looking really good, says Clint. We have the Hobby Get here saying, Jesus, 40k chat. Good old Dim. Yeah, Clint saying tree is obviously going to be better protection than power armor. I don't know, man. Like, power armor is made of, unobtainium. You know what I mean? He's saying the new Tyranids are looking spot on. Yeah, they don't look bad. Some interesting new stuff. Hobby saying he quit at the right time, can completely dodge all the copium. Whatever, half a dozen gimmicks. We've got it right this time, blah, blah, blah. Heard it all before. How's Drop Zone Commander going, Dim? You know what I mean? I've actually watching a stream there the other day. Shout out to the Musty Wargamers. We have Helicrex and Palmer, and they had Farmer Dan on. They are lads from the States, so they do have their hobby streams at ridiculous o'clock in the morning. It must be 3 a.m. because of their, the old time difference. But they were actually talking about gaming systems that they would have likened to play, that they wish they played, that sort of aren't really around anymore or have a very niche following. And they ended up talking about Drop Zone Commander at the time, which reminded me of Dim, since that's what he's actually playing at the moment. And speaking of playing at the moment, Sid, are you getting any games of anything in yourself, or and what are you up to?
Well, not really, to be honest with you. I've got a pal who lives nearby who got back into 40k the same time as I did, so I've had a few games with him this year.
Yeah.
But it's the fucking end of April now, so that's,
I get you, man. I get
I
you.
think I was still saying that in February. It didn't sound as bad then, but yeah, it's been a while since we've got anything done. I keep trying to talk with Ben into having a game of Blood Bowl or Hero Quest. So I got the new Hero Quest when it came out,
on
the Kickstarter.
How much did you get that one for? I saw one for sale for like £100 over here, and I was tempted. And then I remembered I don't have space.
Yeah, it's a big old box. It was 150 because when it first got launched, I was tracking it on the little countdown clock when it was going to come out.
Yeah.
Then it came out states only, and I was like, "Oh, you bastards!"
Yeah, I remember
So,
that.
when it came out in Europe, I thought, right, I'm having it, and it only had like the deluxe set with all the expansions and stuff. Like, so I've got like dragons and loads more orcs and undead and other fish fuckers and whatever. So I got a lot more than just the standard box. But I think I've had one game with the Ben and the missus, and this was I think I told you about it actually. They went into a room and it was full of skeletons, and my son was using the barbarian, cheat mode, little brawler, and the missus ran in with that elf. And then he went, "I've got the treasure," and legged it. Absolutely ran away. And she was like, and she got cut down. I'm rolling dice going, I'm killing my wife. I don't know what it is.
I'll be hearing about this later.
This will come back. I'm like, "Where you going?" And he goes, "I've got the treasure. I'll save the treasure." Scott, what? I was like, "Oh,
I think we have talked about this before, because it reminds me of when I played it with my brother and my nephew. And my nephew did exactly the same thing. When he was playing the dwarf, he got some treasure and then he just legged it and left the brother in the dungeon by himself as the barbarian. And yeah, so I don't know what it is about this up and coming generation. They're very cutthroat, very cutthroat.
You've left your mother behind, son.
She'll be grand.
No, she won't. But yeah, it's just at the minute I'm just focusing on painting stuff. I'm making cracking sort of progress through me backlog, pile of opportunity.
Pile of shame.
Me unpainted models.
Yeah.
I'm 10 through. I say I'm 10 through them. I can probably name everything I've still got to paint, which I think is pretty good.
Oh, you're doing better than me, so.
And bring it to mind. I mean, it's still quite a lot when I say it in a row. I'll not. Don't worry. But yeah.
I still haven't even started that Battle Wagon challenge, and you and Clint are racing ahead. Absolutely racing ahead.
Basically finished.
Oh, I love it.
These little grots I'm painting now are just the final pieces
for your Battle Wagon build. Yeah.
And to be fair, I could just go, I'm done, but I'm not. I've got these little.
We'll do a close up. Whoop, whoop.
I'm better off not putting my hand behind it. Little beer bottles.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been trying to paint them to look a bit like glass. This camera's a bit wishy-washy, like so. I mean, not actually. If you see them in real life, the sparkle, they're very realistic. Not quite, but I'm getting there. So I might paint some of those tonight as well.
Oh, nice.
I just think lots of beer bottles scattered around the place.
Exactly. The drunken orcs would be drunk.
The drunken orcs would.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you see what I did there? Right.
Very coy.
Pop my glasses out.
Oh, he means business now.
I'm taking these ones aren't very good for close up. Now I've got these ones which haven't got a lens in it, but my mate reckons I look like a serial killer.
Yeah,
I quite like them.
You're just missing the flared sort of short with the collar from like the 70s or something like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, I was like, oh, serial killer. That's worrying. Which one? He goes, the one that eats Ben's and that. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. But
Can't wear them out in public again. Ah, well.
I'll deal with them. So yeah, that's better. I haven't seen him. I've also got. I bought one of these. I don't know if you ever tried them.
Which? No, but I've heard people that swear by them. How do you find them?
I normally just keep it down there. There it is.
Within arm's reach. Do you find them useful?
Yes, very much. The light's a bit wick, but as long as you've got light enough to see by anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I only crack it out when I'm doing little fiddly bits, eyeballs and teeth and stuff like that.
The finer details.
Or it's like something that's hard to reach place. But yeah, I'm sure you can pay fortunes for them. That one was like less than 20 quid from Amazon.
Ah, winner. So
it wasn't, it wasn't an expensive one. Like, but one of my mates had got one, and he absolutely swore by it. And it was just, fun watching him use it as well. Because every time he looked at the camera, like online, remember that film was a Top Secret with a magnifying glass, and the fellow with a massive eye.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. It was back in the 80s. You young pups might not know it.
Don't worry, reruns happened.
Yeah,
I do catch some nostalgia for some 80s things. Not all of them, mind you, but some of them.
Yeah. A lot of it was shite, to be fair.
Well, see, that's the thing about being born in a later generation is all the shite sinks and the good stuff floats into the next. It sticks around a bit. So you get all your Cadillacs and dinosaurs and your Transformers, you know what I mean? And all the shite ones died off by then.
Yeah. This is it. I remember going to the pictures, and I think it was, bear in mind, this is not an 80s film. It was a Jungle Book, which I think came out in the fucking 60s or something like that. But there was a very 80s, there was like a matinee or something where you get a double feature? That's how long ago it was. And there was an 80s film on. It was a Disney film, and it was called The Pigeon That Worked Miracles.
The Pigeon That Worked Miracles?
Yeah, it was with a kid who was unfortunately in a wheelchair, and it was all apparently in his head. And he had a pigeon, and he fell over or something, and he got out his chair to save it. So the pigeon caused him to walk. That dragged on for about 20 minutes or so. It wasn't great.
Doesn't sound memorable.
No, I was a kid in the 80s. There was nothing else. You know what I mean? We weren't exactly.
See, I'm trying to remember back like
to things to do.
I'm trying to remember back to like films that were memorable, and it's like, what was there? It was like The Land Before Time, but I think that was the 90s. American Tail, but that was the late 80s, wasn't it?
American Tail, is that the one with what was it called?
The mouse. Yeah. The mouse. They're all mice or cats or whatever.
Russian mice.
Russian mice. That's it, because there's no cats in America, apparently.
Mice geese.
The Mouskevitz.
Was that the late 90s? Late 80s?
May have been. I'm sure Tim will jump into the comment section and with him being an old film aficionado, will correct us either way. But is there any gaming clubs up where you are? Like gaming wise?
There is a few. I've had a look, scout out for them. There's one in a place called Forden, which it's not exactly on my doorstep, but it's not too far away. I drive through it to go to work, so it's not too bad. And I've only been along there once, to be fair. And I was chatting with a few of the lads there. It was just after the Horus Heresy stuff came out. So there was a few of those games going on, but the rest of it, to be fair, was some of the stuff I didn't have a clue. I recognised some of it from chatting with you lads on the Discord and that, which I'll now forget what it's called. With the little cars.
The little cars.
You know, where you take like the Hot Wheels cars and you
Oh, Gaslands.
Gaslands. That's a fella. Yeah, so they were playing Gaslands, and I was chatting with there was 4 of the lads playing that, and I was chatting with them for a good while and watching a lot of the game. And to be honest with you, that looked pretty good.
Mm.
And I'd heard about it, but I didn't know any. I think I'd heard about the modelling side of things.
Yeah,
You
because
know, with the cars and that. I'd
yeah,
seen the little sprues and with additionals, but I'd never actually seen the game played with the turning templates and.
it's a bit of crack. I've played with them.
Yeah, it was. I was like, this looks pretty good, and it was just the way they were like, watching the game expand, and they just had I think they just had a car each because they're only there for a few hours. But yeah, it looked pretty cool,
It's
and I
good
was
crack.
like, yeah, I'm going to get into that, and I see myself enjoying the modelling side.
Oh, totally. And then like the cost of getting into it as well is negligible because you're buying like a 5-pack of Hot Wheels car or a single Hot Wheels car, or hell, just scratch building it yourself. Like you know what I mean?
This is it. And one of the lads who was there, he actually sent us which I know is obviously probably goes against some things, but he sent us a link for the rules. So you have to buy the book, just download them. All right.
And get into it. Yeah. I mean that's like a lot of communities. It's like you want to get people in. You give them a PDF, and what tends to happen later on anyway is that they go and buy everything for the game,
But this is it. This is it, isn't it? If you like it, you go out and then you invest in it.
You lure them in, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, here's a little something for you. There's a free miniature or whatever. There's some free rules, and lure them in, and then you wait to strike, and then we got him now. Just have to be patient. You just have to be patient. We have a few more heads popping up. Gateman's here. What's the crack?
Wow, Jude.
Jude's here. Stephen Cross is here as well. What's the crack, Steve? Hobby Gator saying he's planning his 4 drop zone conversions. And he naturally couldn't resist the orky direction. So I'm planning for my resistance to do some looting of some alien tech. Ooh, funsies. Yeah, that'll be good because it's like scrap. He's picked a faction that are pretty much like Mad Max in the game, so it's very sort of orky. Definitely. I'll see if I can get up to Toontown soon for a game, says Clint.
Yeah.
Gitman has been saying, I've betrayed the orcs in favour of some Space Marines. Boo! Now painting some Terminators and Deathwing. For shame. Dude, for shame. I thought you knew better. Speaking of battle wagons, Dames, how's the fire truck? Oh, I'm working on whatever. Give a toss, blah, blah, blah. I did find the old fire truck I made. I hate it. When I get back to the battle wagon challenge, I'll do something entirely altogether. I doubt anyone would guess. Do you know, like, I've been thinking about the battle wagon challenge. Now, I've to tear me hobby area apart and I have to rejig things because I'm moving gaff. But it has me thinking, it's like I do need to crack on with the battle wagon challenge, and I'm getting a very my old hobby mojo's going again. You know what I mean? I'm getting the urge to want to build stuff. So I think I'll jump on that anyway and give it a bash. And but I know I want to lean into like plasticard a lot and scratch building bits. But I know part of our challenge is like you have to get a battle wagon kit or use the battle wagon.
Yeah. You've got to use part of the kit. I mean, really, you could just, use the tiniest little piece if you wanted to. But it's not in the spirit. It does. There's no one says you can't do that, but no one says you should do that. You know what I mean? So,
but I mean, there's no point in me like.
I've used about half the kit. If I'm being
okay, half is reasonable. Half's reasonable. There's no point in me scratch building a whole new vehicle out of plasticard with new tracks and a new hull, and then just plonking the battle wagon turret on top and going, "Hey!" It's like it's tempting, but now I'll have to. I have a few ideas. There's a few ideas that I have. I bought I bought one Tamiya kit to steal the running gear. Because I'm not bothered scratch building running gear for a vehicle. It's like tracks I can do, but all the wheels and the running gear and the hydraulics and stuff, it's like, oh god, just the prospect just drains the soul.
Yeah.
What do you do like when you're scratch building for a vehicle? Do you bother with the running gear, or do you normally loot it yourself? Or
to be honest with you, sometimes I've went and built they try to scratch build it, and then you can't even see it when you're done. But other times I've just if you turn them over, there's a box, and I'm just a smooth. It's a little bit, at least I put a plate on it, but there's no detail at all. I think it's just whatever I'm thinking at the time. Really, everything's different. I rarely have a plan. I found a plan the other day. I don't know where I've put it now, from a while ago, and it was literally a little cartoony drawing with some measurements written on it, and then a comment saying "Do Bodie," and it was for a Grot Mega Tank on a post-it note, and that was me. That was my blueprint. It was yellow, but
this way forward, point towards enemy.
Yeah, literally, do Bodie, and then a little picture of an anchor, and it was just like, this is detailed, but it was mostly just for the dimensions. I like to try and keep things, the size they should be. He says, looking at his battle wagon build, maybe he's not.
Has it grown in scale on you?
It's a little bit taller. It's not a battle wagon. Build something else with the battle wagon kit, but it's a little bit taller than the what I've built. They're what it's meant to be.
I mean, like I'd be tempted to actually build older edition stuff, like custom vehicles for the 4th edition codex or the Forge World for 4th ed back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, there's a few vehicles there. They had some great vehicle construction rules back in the day. You know what I mean?
Was that the ones where you could sort of custom build essentially whatever you wanted, really, I suppose?
Yeah, you could custom build a Stomped. There was loads of vehicles back then. The big track came out. You had rules for making flyers. There was Orc bombers and stuff. There was trucks with so they used the standard truck. They'd put artillery in the back of them, so you'd have a zap gun or a lobbit in the back of a truck, so you could do conversions that way. There was gun wagons as well, which are kind of like battle wagons, but they've got big guns in them. Yeah, it was great. It was a great time. You know what I mean? So I find that interesting. It's I don't really care so much about editions. I'm like, what would I like to convert? What type of vehicle would I like to make from it that would be creative and fun? And if I was to use it, what era would I use it in? Because I'm sure me and Dim would probably play a game of 4th ed or 5th ed happily with all of the sort of conversions and stuff. Or we, there's nothing wrong with the community coming up with an event codex where we just sort of update the rules for older designs into new editions.
Yeah,
say that's doable. Just come to a consensus. Does that seem like the right amount of points for that? Yeah, grand. If not, give it more points. That's points. Bit expensive, and just have a laugh with it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Right, hang on. I'm going to go super bright here to try and fix me out the focus issue. There we're going.
But yeah, there's been loads of orc vehicles that just there aren't currently in it.
It's quite sad how few there is now
compared to back in the day.
Yeah,
I think I've Forge World books, the little catalogs from 2014 and 2013 or whatever. And the amount of stuff that they had back then compared to now was vast. They had loads of bits. They had Grok crews, loads of Grok guns and stuff, and little sponsons that you used to glue onto vehicles that were little Grok gunners. That sort of stuff. Fun little bits. There's loads of little fun little tidbits that aren't really around as much anymore. Do you know what I discovered, Sid? I actually found one of my white dwarfs from 2006, June 2006, and it was when City Fight came out. So it was when the new Commandos, the Metal Commandos. I love this. It's like when you're in the hobby long enough, it's like, oh yeah, the new ones, they're not new anymore, mate. So the previous Commandos, when they first came out, they came out in 4th edition. Before the 4th edition codex. So they came out when we had the 3rd edition Orc codex. and they came out. So that those commandos came out, and the mech with the custom force field, the metal one, they came out
Right.
at the same time for City Fight. And I go through it, and I'm looking through it, and it was like, I think it was £6 for like the specialists. You know, there'd be the guy with the Borna, and or the guy with the the big shooter that
Yeah.
you'd buy separately. And I go to the very back of the White Dwarf, and I'd forgotten that it was still happening at that time. You could buy the weapon separately. Do you remember you used to be able to buy? You could buy the body for £3, or you could buy
Yeah.
like the gun arms for £3,
All
or
the parts.
all the parts. Like, I was like, ah, jeez. I never bothered with that. You know what I mean? I never bothered with the direct stuff, which is a pity. Um, yeah, I totally forgotten about the likes of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's still. I mean, obviously, GW don't do shit like that anymore. Just buy the full box. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Oh, you want two of the weapon? No, buy two. So.
I said to one of my pals the other night, I was looking for a grot that was hanging on to something, and I thought, "Oh, there's one in the stomper kit. I'll get a stomper for a grot."
For a
that's
grot.
Yeah, that's not happening. But there is still sites, and some of them are worth, better than others. I do sort of buy kits and then break them down and sell the pieces separately. And
Oh, the bit sites. Yeah.
yeah, and I found a few which are like nothing's in stock. I mean, they're always out of stock of everything. But I did find one that was pretty good, and they seem to stock up quite regularly as well. So even if they haven't got what you're after, because some bits go quicker than others, like separate weapons and big guns on stuff and tracks and stuff, they go quite quick.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there's key
They do
pieces.
restock.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do restock. If you're looking for like a bit of armor plate off a central section of a Land Raider, so he's got you all day. He's got you covered. You got fucking loads of them. But he does get, like, I say I don't know, but they do get stocked up quite regular. They are pretty good bits and kits, and I'll use them quite a bit. Not just giving them a shameless plug there, not affiliate.
Definitely not sponsoring this video. As he painting Battletech miniatures. But I get what you're saying. Like, I get the feeling with some kits, there's key components to them that are probably going to be like the bulk of where they make their money, and the bits that'll go quickly. Like, so the battle wagon, I could see the turret and like the tracks and the wheels being like the key components. Whereas like maybe main parts of the chassis, not so much, or little tidbits here and there.
Oh, there's loads of bits that you wouldn't have any interest in. But I'll go on to buy something, and I'll always have a look through, and I'll see, like, I don't know why I buy a lot of railings. I don't know why. I think, railings, because I'm like, plastic rod, how are you? But if it's curved or it's got like, it's essentially just a little fence piece you could just stick down. It's already, you haven't got to put the struts on or anything. I think that's a good little time saver.
You're not the safety officer in your job by chance, are you? Is it just like subconscious at this stage?
No.
Hazard tape everywhere, railings. Careful now, where's your PPE?
But because nobody wants them normally, they've got them in stock, and they're not like, it's like 60p for this, maybe it's £1.20 if it's a big piece.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things, man, where you go, well, that's a bargain, that's a bargain, that's a bargain, that's a bargain. I've spent 45 quid. Shit. And and when it arrives, it's just a bag of bits. Going, yeah, that's a lot of money for what I've got here.
True.
But keeps your bid box going up, and I generally only try to buy stuff there if I'm going to get a use for it. But I did buy a couple of the guns off the kill rig, the Orc kill rig.
The kill rig. I haven't looked at that kit yet. I know of it, the new one that's being pulled by a squig.
Yeah,
but I haven't.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of guns off that because they were quite. One of them is just like a lobber. One's like a big harpoon gun. That's quite unique. I thought, right, I'll just see if I can pick up a spare. And there was a particular squig model, a smasher squig, which comes in a box with 3 other models and is about 37 quid, probably 40 quid now. And I wanted a few of these, but I thought, I'm not going to buy a load of them boxes. So I picked up the squig alone for like about, it was 6 or 8 quid.
Oh, all right, yeah.
And then just kit bashed an orc into the saddle. one of the many knobs I had lying around.
Oh, of course, Jesus. There's no shortage of knobs in this place, huh?
This is it. This is one of those things that I don't know how much that crosses over to your Battletech viewers. So
Well,
I
I
had my
mean,
knob
like,
in my hand, and I just had to make it fit. So I just jammed it, you know.
there are elements of that in Battletech. So it's like, I don't know what people's perception of Battletech is, where it's everything's got sort of a standard design, but in the game, there are pirates, and pirates literally are scavenging and surviving by raiding people. So it's like if their mech has lost a leg and they've raided this warehouse and it's got spare legs, but they're not for the mech that they have, they they can patch it on or whatever. So there are designs in Battletech that are called Franken mechs, which are basically, think of Frankenstein, where it's like they've got your man's head and this bloke's left arm and the torso off of that chap and your one's leg over there, and they just jam it together and away they go. So like there is that sort of salvage is a really big part of the game, and people customizing their own mechs as well. It can be part of it too. That's part of the rules. So like people making their own mechs is a thing. So there is that sort of scope of conversion. You just don't have it facilitated as much at the moment. I mean, like if you buy some of the metal bios, you might get for instance, here, this one's an Atlas here that I have in a Ziploc bag. What they'll give you is like so it's one of the newer sculpts. So they'll give you like your arms, your legs, your the core bits of them. But then they'll give you a couple of spare weapons. So there's different weapon loadouts. So you have a couple of arm choices there, and then you're left with spare ones as well. Like so, you could if you wanted to magnetize, but there's nothing to say like that if you were playing a game, you were playing a campaign or whatever, and you ran out of missiles and you wanted to put a big cannon there instead. It's like, yeah, just like convert it up and change over the rules, because there's construction rules for the game. So if you run out of ammunition for a specific weapon type, and you find a stash of something else, you can convert them over. Like it's it's very flexible in that regard.
That's good. I like that sort of stuff. And can you sort of easily, I say easily, not necessarily easily, represent that in the models themselves?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, totally.
Be quite cool, because that's, like I say, that's the biggest draw to any of this for me is the modelling side of things. I think that's why I was drawn to orcs and that, because you look at half the other ones and it's like, oh, I'll just do like the boxing, will I?
Yeah.
But and if I was better, I could do it with some of the other ones, but I can do it and keep it in the sort of, that ramshackle Mad Max sort of look. And you want to gaffer tape a fella to the top of a pole and have him hanging off a truck. That's easy. Brilliant, though.
The old dipping the Prit stick in the bits box and pulling it out, and hey presto, there's a kit bash job, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not the same as just, more guns, better,
Sacrilege, Sid. More DACA, needs more DACA. Always.
You've got to, there's got to be a level. But not far off that, to be fair. I mean, I wish I could show you what's sat behind us.
Another time. Or
post. Yeah, it's gonna kill me finishing that and not being able to sort of like go, ooh, look at this. Ooh.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, give me likes.
Right. Well, you're picking the right time to get it finished.
Absolutely. But yeah.
Sure, we all are. Sure, what else would we be doing? YouTube, like there must be some element of attention whoreism in all of us, like.
I suppose so.
It's like, look at this thing I didn't finish. If you're looking on my channel, here's another project I haven't quite finished. I mean, I find it easier with Battletech because I'm not trying to like slog through a mob of 30 boys. I think that's another thing that makes it a little bit more accessible for me. But then, it's like, oh, I only need to paint 4 dudes, and then I decide, oh, I'll make a unit of 12. It's like, Jesus, man, you never learn, do you? It's going crazy for it. But yeah, no, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'll be interested to see what happens with the old Tented, what direction it goes in, and Yeah, through the summer, I think I'll be attacking the old battle wagon challenge and decide what I want to do with it. Like,
Hmm.
I have some ideas, but I don't know if I'm gonna go with them. There's quite a few ideas I've had with it for a battle wagon. I suppose there's a lot of conversions I've seen over the years, and it's like I look at them and I go, I'd like to do something similar, but with my own twist on it.
Yeah.
And
You always want to put your own stamp on it, don't you?
yeah, like I have an idea for a conversion, and I don't think I've seen anything done before because it's like I have some bits, so I have an idea of a conversion I could do with those bits and how I'd like to execute it, but
Hmm.
I've never tried it before. So you're kind of, there's a bit of me that's always wary when you're gambling. Like, how much is a battle wagon these days? They aren't cheap. Like,
In pounds, I believe 65 quid.
yeah, so that's probably like €80, €85 or something like that. They're not.
I'll have a quick spotch.
They're not cheap. So you know.
But I mean, yeah. If you're looking for something cheap, we know straight away. If
Well,
it's
it's
not in
more so like
the
the
shop,
idea of my conversion is to put it together and then take a saw blade and saw it in two and widen it
that
at about an inch.
I've always found that terrifying.
Yeah. It's like,
I've
oh, I
done
gotta
it.
take a blade to this kid. Ah, sure.
Yeah, I've done it, but I've had to sort of like work myself up to doing it because it's like, it's so counterintuitive, like building something just to destroy it.
Uh,
And I think I done it with the Bane Blade. I've done it at Battle Fortress, a Death Skull Battle Fortress.
is that
Yeah, that's
the one that's like the battleship, is it?
no, that was the big blue one with the Conning
Con
Tower on the
Tower.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, that was sweet,
yeah.
man. I love that one.
But I just bought a Bane Blade and pretty much built it apart from all the little floofy bits, and then went right. And that was a store, by the way. I wasn't like punching a monkey, and cut it up and like sitting there cutting off armor panels just to like I just took it off and then rotate it and stick it back on. Just slightly wonky and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, does not feel.
I mean,
This is
looting a
too much.
vehicle, I've only done it a few times, but I've always liked the idea of having that narrative in it where it's a case of, right, so they've looted it. So how was it destroyed in the first place? So I'd always be like, right, so a missile came in here and
Yeah,
blew up, and then the doors blew off. That's why the doors are different colors or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Well,
then they've looted it.
that's the plan. And I was thinking this is where it's went in.
Mm,
So it's like a little, they whittled and carved a little jagged hole in the side, and then this is where it came out, and sort of like try and rip away more panels and stuff.
yeah, I like that. I like that sort of. You can sort of look at the model and see the story of what's happened with it, and then the patch
Yeah,
job that's been put over after
yeah,
they've
absolutely. Yeah,
they
you've got
fixed
to
it
be.
up.
I like it when you look at a model. You don't like when you used to get the dioramas and White Dwarf and that, and you'd look at it and you go, "Oh, that's good. Oh, look, there's a little frog there. Oh, look, it's spitting on something. Ha ha. Ha. Oh, look, there's a Gadgiora here. Oh, what's that? Another that mushroom, whatever. There's lots of things to see,
Yeah,
and every time you look at it, you see something different. I like if I'm doing a vehicle anyway, something a bit bigger, and you've got this, I suppose, with like the 40k scale. Things are a bit bigger. Try to put as much on it as I can. So there's lots of little sort of stories like, what's he doing? Oh, look at him. Like the Bad Battle Fortress had like a little grot on the back. There was a little toilet hanging off the back with a grot sitting reading a newspaper on it with a big chopper hanging on a chain next to him. They didn't flush, but that was just for chopping up, you know, unwanted visitors.
as you
But
do.
like
Yeah.
lots of these little things going on. Yeah, I like that sort of stuff. And if you can see, like, like you say, this is what this must have happened here, and they've done this and they've done that, and yeah, tell the story.
Follow the trail of breadcrumbs, and it'll lead you to like something at the end. All the
This
little
is it,
bombs
yeah,
that being dropped, and eventually it's like a grot straining with a pile of them. Getting to the ammo bin or whatever.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The battle wagon, by the way, is €90.
But it comes with the death roller now, though. Yeah.
It does now, yeah. They've given you the option of having it,
Yeah, it didn't used to
but
back in the
that's
day.
it.
I remember that.
Having it, and it's 70. It's £70, €90. I'm sure the last time I bought one, it was 45, but it didn't come with the Death Roller kit,
No,
which was, I think, 12 quid at the time.
I think the last time I bought one was in Forge World. and it was for £50, and I got the big, massive kill cannon thing with it, which I
All
still
right.
have one built. Which reminds me, I should.
No, I've got one. I've got one unbuilt as well.
Yeah, which reminds
I
me,
think I paid more than 50 quid, but
because I was there with Cy. We used to go to Warhammer World and play like our orc events, and every
yeah,
time he'd be like, "Well, it's like 35 quid for the gun or 30 quid for the gun, but it's only 50 quid for the battle wagon version. So that's 20 quid for a battle wagon. Why wouldn't you?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm sold." You know.
yeah, that's why I got it.
Yeah.
The same maths.
Exactly. That's how I ended up with it. And it
I
was
will
this.
paint it one day.
It's the same for. We ended up buying the Stomper with the belly gun and all the forgeable
Yeah.
bits because they ported over the website, and they had the belly gun version on sale for the price of the one without the belly gun. So I think we ended up getting it like 40 quid cheaper. And we said it to the staffer. We like, you do know these are the wrong price. He was like, yeah, sure. They know about it. They'll fix it eventually. I was like, I'll have one, please. He's like, all right, lads. But like, I have this backlog.
Got my shop worker mentality.
Yeah. They'll get it. They'll get around to it. They'll get around to it eventually. You know
not my monkey, not my circus.
They'll get around to it eventually. We'll check out the old comment section and see who's popped in to say hello. Lorcan's here. Sup, nerds? What's the crack? Clint is saying, I think you can pick up a lot of the grots from Forgery World. Ooh, very nice.
You certainly can, yes, as we both know.
I wouldn't know of such things, gentlemen, but I'll take your word on it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Stephen Cross is saying, have you seen the new orc and the absolutely massive boar? Is this an Age of Sigmar release?
Yes, it is. It is. Now, I saw this just before we came on. I had a, let's call it a refreshment break.
Right.
And I got my phone out, as I often do when I'm getting refreshed. And had a look and saw this massive, humongous looking boar. I mean, to the point where it's an orc on a boar, and then there's a platform on either side of the boar with a couple more orcs stood on them.
Oh, okay.
Like on, like if you used to give people backers, or if you had pegs on your bike and you get people hanging on your bike, it's like that sort of thing.
So it's a boar with sidecars, is it?
Yeah, it's just like a platform, but there's like two fully armored orcs on the side of it with big yarking sort of pole arms. I don't know if they're choppers or spears or what, I don't know. But I thought, that looks interesting. Because I've been buying a lot of the Age of Sigmar stuff recently. I say recently, it's a few months ago now. To do up as like the Beast Snaggers.
I suppose, the Beast Snaggers would integrate pretty well because it's like they would be very Age of Sigmar if it wasn't just for the cyborg bits. Like otherwise, like they'd fit in no bother. Yeah,
well, it's also the fact that you pay like 35 quid for 10 Beast Snaggers or 35 quid for 20 of the Age of Sigmar Savage Orcs
boys or whatever. Yeah.
Those squigs were like 3 for 37.50, I think, at the time. Age of Sigmar 10 for 35. I was like, well,
what the 10 boars for 35?
Yeah, 10 of the Savage Orc. Boar boys basically.
Nice.
So you've got an orc who's Billy Bollocks riding around on a big hairy pig with his bum cheeks out.
Yeah, just stick a few guns on the back and your boar riders.
This set replace the odd heart. I mean, all you're doing is I was just sitting there with all me many replacement boys' arms and just snipping off shooters and the occasional chopper. I'll give a few spears and that. Some of them have got guns, some haven't. I mean, the 40k ones haven't, to be fair. But I also bought a box of, I forget what they're called, but it's the Night Goblins on squigs. That sort of
Squig
jump
riders?
around.
I don't know what they're like, loon something or others.
Probably, yeah.
The specific terminology, is beyond me. But I it's like they're goblins on squigs. I get you. I know what you're on about.
What they are.
Yeah, they're squig riders. Yeah.
Because they're jumping about, the goblins are all sort of like hanging on and flying backwards and, legs above the heads and all these sorts of poses.
Hanging on for dear life, I get you, yeah.
And just stuck them on the back of the boars. So, because they've normally got a little grot behind them. So you've got all these grots hanging off and they've all got little sort of axes and swords and shit, just to finish the model off, really. So it cost us an extra 30 quid to do that. But I also got 10 spare squigs for, well, just future use, you know.
What, the next big clash that we have, so you and Clint can exact vengeance on each other again?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You'll have it. He's always got something to twist about. Classic Spurs fan.
We won't give any details away. There's a battle report in the making. Honest Gov, trust us, folks. You know, there is one on the way eventually. Maybe by next edition.
Well, this is it. Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it. The clock's ticking, isn't it? I mean, we've got a deadline now because
What, June? Do you think it'll be up by June? Do you think?
well, the thing is, when these you know, God, if you look for bot reps and that online, you find any amount of them. But as soon as like a new edition comes out, the old ones just
Drop off the radar.
Yeah, just people just say, oh. I think they still watch them. I've watched a few old ones before, just, you know, when I get the point that I've watched all of YouTube, or so it feels like it.
I do know what you're saying though. Now that I think about reports, it's like I don't generally see older ones unless it's like specifically a channel I'm looking at. I'm going through their older videos.
Yeah.
Like in general, I don't come across like 9th edition battle reports. Anytime there's like a battle report for 40k, it'll always be the latest edition.
Yeah.
But that's part of why I love Battletech, man. It's like it's the same edition since back in the days of yore. They've just refined things.
I heard tell that it's been running with the same sort of rule set for
it has
whatever it is, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, so the core nuts and bolts of the game are roughly the same, but they've, you know, refined it over time. There has been some changes to some stuff, but nothing major. But there's a few versions of how to play. So there's kind of like the more open style of it, where it would be there's no hex grid, the miniatures aren't, you know, you're using them in squads more so than the individual mech, and it's not as detailed. So it's, I don't know, it would be like the way that there's match play and open play, you know what I mean, for 40k. So there's like what some people call classic Battletech, which is the version I taught you how to play, which is with the hex grids and you get your sheet, and there's the very granular damage and stuff like that. And, you know, usually you're controlling one mech or maybe up to 4 or 5, but not more than that if you want to get it done in an evening. Whereas Alpha Strike, you'll have like, you have a stack of them here. And not that you can see on the camera at the moment, but, you know, you'll have a stack of cards, and it's like, it's very streamlined down. It's just like the short, medium, or long range. The mech will do so much damage out to there, and then the guy you're shooting at will have so many armor points and so many structure, and once they're gone, that's it. It's dead. Like, so it's very, very streamlined compared to classic BattleTech. But the thing is, you can play both games with the same miniatures, so you get you know, bang for your buck. You know what I mean?
Well, that's always good, isn't it?
It is. It's great crack.
Yeah, people love that sort of stuff. I know I do.
Yeah, definitely, man.
See, I'd be quite up for you know, getting into BattleTech, and I mean, I can see I'll get the minis and that. I can't say I'd play that many games other than with, you know, when we have these meetups and what have you. So I don't know if I can get my mates into it. Just they got back into 40k.
That's it. Oh, that's all their hobby money gone.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. and the kidney, but they got back into it based on the like the Black Library books and what have you.
Yeah,
and I think after we all sort of stopped around the same time, which was mid 90s, maybe mid to late 90s. I remember I still bought a few things when I was 20. When I was at college, because I walked past the GW on the way back from college to the bus stop. But I bought them and I painted them, but I never played with them.
Yeah.
So that would have been about 96. So we stopped at around the same sort of time, but they just kept up with. I think that's when like the novels were really sort of taking off, like in the form of the Black Library. I haven't read them. They've read them all, like start to finish. One of my mates buys all the leather-bound versions of it.
Jesus.
It was £50 a pop.
Did you have any kids?
No.
Yeah. I was about to say, yeah. That's you won't be able to afford to have any kids if you're buying fucking Lender-bound black library editions. Holy Jesus.
He's got his Black Library books.
That's it.
They bring him joy.
That's his legacy. It's like, fair play. I won't judge.
Well, you do what you want. No, it is fair enough, But they sort of stayed in with all that sort of stuff.
So they stayed in the loop somewhat with the lore.
Yeah. And I think when I worked night shift for a lot of years back in like the noughties and that. And I think a couple of times I might have looked on Wikipedia just and typed in orcs. I just read a bit about orcs. And I remember orcs.
Did you used to collect orcs back in the day? Or what?
Yeah.
So you were into orcs even back in the day, back in the second days?
Yeah. First time I saw an orc, I think I was 13. I was with my mates. I went round to play Elite on his Commodore 64.
Oof.
And
nice.
And he went for his tea, and he just had this wooden fort on like what must have been maybe it's a 2 foot. It might have been bigger. It seems bigger, but I'm sure it must have only been a couple of foot square board, and it had like a wooden fort built over half of it, and the other half was like hills, and maybe it was a bit bigger than 2 foot hills and a stream and that. And it was his uncle. He said his uncle built them and painted it up, and he just had it was full of these little lead figures. And I was like, "What is this? This is mint. What is it?" And he goes, "Oh, this is these are me minis." And we had a game where basically everything was decided on a 4+, and it was just right. I'm going to throw like he's got a boomerang. I'm going to throw it at him. Right, hit him on a 4+. Right, kill him on a 4+. He comes back on a 4+. But you can do it again, and it was just that. And I was smitten. But these little orcs just looked fantastic, and fantasy orcs, 40k orcs. Yeah, I've done other things as well, but orcs were always
orcs were your first love.
Yeah, first and true.
I see. I started Warhammer Fantasy. I didn't actually start off with 40k. Like Bretonnians were my thing because I'd always liked. I'd always loved castles and knights and stuff and dragons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd always loved that sort of stuff, and I always like spaceships as well. Like I've always liked sci-fi, but I got into fantasy first, and I think it was there was like back in 5th ed. So I was begging me parents for about 2 years. Could I get into? I wanted the Warhammer. I wanted a box set. Begging them 2 years non-stop, and my mother was like, "No, it's too expensive. No." She wasn't having a bar of it, and eventually the stepfather was like, "There's a paint set for you." You know what I mean? There's a paint set in a Bretonnian box. Yeah, a box set with like 2 Bretonnian knights, and absolutely fucking chuffed I was, me. It was great crack. Bretonnian archers, Bretonnian knights, and then I think my next box set after that I bought for 20 quid. So like the 5th edition starter box, I think it was changing over to 6th ed. And it was a sale day back when Games Workshop used to do sales. They'd have a sale day, so it was like reduced, and it was a sale day. So I got like a starter box set for 20. I remember it was £20, 20 Irish pound back in the day, back before the euro. They are kids, Jesus, and that was it. Like that kept me going for years upon years. Lizardmen and Bretonnians. I hadn't got a clue how to play the game, but was well chuffed.
Well, this is it. I mean, I think these days it must be a hard sell for a kid who's got a parent who isn't into it.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to get into it? I know if my son walked in here and I went, "I want to start collecting," insert anything.
Yeah.
There'd be £300 worth of stuff rocking up within a week. I'm sitting next to over £1,000 worth of Lego here in a display table, which is mine. It's not even his.
Nice.
It's mine. Because when he got up, you can see Lego up on the shelves and up there.
Yeah.
When he got the Lego, and I think he was slightly in the Lego, I went crackers with Lego. Before this, that was me. That was like stretches, spending like large amounts of money on tiny bits of plastic. It was just, a warm up for this.
Well, Ultimate Collector series ain't cheap, but you know what I mean.
No, I've got about 4 of them, and as soon as I started back into this, Lego doesn't even exist to us.
Yeah.
It's the cheap whore of no. I still like Lego, but I've not built anything. In fact, I'm looking at the Tantive 4 and a Y-wing next to us, thinking if I take them apart, that's a 90 centimeter square display cabinet I can put tanks in. Right, so
This is a fair point. I suppose that's the only thing that I like. I like Lego. But I find a lot of the sets, like the Star Wars sets especially, they're like I've got some of the busts, like I have the Stormtrooper and Boba Fett and Vader and TIE Fighter pilots and stuff. They're mint, but the problem with them is they're display pieces. So it's like unless you've got the space for them, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're gonna make them and then break them up and then throw them into like a Lego box. Like I don't know.
Well, I got the Millennium Falcon. I sat
The Ultimate Collector series or like a standard one? Oh,
no, the Ultimate I've got both.
Fucking love it.
The Ultimate Collector series one, I hummed and hard. I got
you would deal, mate. It was like 650 when it first came out. It's gone up since then.
650 quid, yeah. I'd stood in Phoenix, a department store. I don't know if you get them elsewhere, but there's one in Newcastle, and I stood there years ago, looking at the original Collector series on the shelf for 320 quid, thinking, "Oh, man, that's mint," and it was just sat there thick of dust, and I didn't get it, obviously, and it must have been after it was. I know they stopped making it in 2007. And this must have been, I think it was when we were expecting, like, the Ben, so like 2010, and it was still there on the shelf, and I didn't get it, because who would spend 320 quid on Lego? And then it was like not long after that, like a year or two, it was in. I'd seen one of these magazines, like very GW type thing, where it goes, first edition, only 99p, you get this, and you build a whole Millennium Falcon. Subsequent editions, £8.99 a month. 486 editions incoming. The ones that
yeah.
It was one of those, and I thought I'm going to get it, and then I worked out how much I'd spend, and went, no, I'm not. And I had a look at the Lego one online. I thought there's a Lego one, and I looked at it, and it was going for like $5,000. And that's when they were saying Lego holds its price better than gold and all this sort of shit.
Oh, I remember the post. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So when they brought out the next one, I thought I'm getting it.
Yeah. You had buyer's remorse from the previous one. You ain't going to be bit twice.
This was it, yeah. And I saved, and I'd done some overtime, and I got a few quid from like some dividend thing at work, and I won a fat club at work. Losing weight for cash. It's the only time I ever lose weight when there's money involved.
Losing weight for Lego, more like it's like I'm getting that bleeding Falcon.
And I got it, and I went to all last, and I done it all properly. I'm not going to sneak that thing. And the box was like it was 3 foot fucking square.
Yeah.
And I can say, right, I'm thinking I'm going to get this, but if you say no, then fair enough. She was, do what you want. I was just canny like that. And I got it, and I built it, and I put it on the dining room table, and it stayed there for 3.5 months because there was nowhere to put it. The thing's like 3 foot long, 2 foot wide, and about yay tall. It's massive. I was looking at like, where am I going to put this thing? And then IKEA came out with some glass tables,
coffee tables, wasn't it? Yeah.
Glass. And they were about 90 centimeters square, and the nose just pokes out. So I bought 2 of them and bolted them together, and then of course I had to fill the other half, didn't I? So I bought some.
Yeah. Nice.
There you go. There's a lot of Lego information there.
Yeah, but sure, who doesn't like Lego? Like, who doesn't like? I think I got Lego up until I got into Warhammer when I was about 14 or whatever, and then it dropped off. Then once I got into Warhammer, I used to get Lego for like every Christmas and every birthday when I was a kid. I was easy to buy for. It was like just get him Lego set, he'd be fucking chuffed. It's like no going wrong then. But trying to get me nephew like Lego these days and stuff, and he doesn't have the interest that we had. Like if I buy a Lego set, my brother does be chuffed, because half the time he gets to build it. You know what I mean? But the young fella is just there's the Xbox, there's the iPad, there's a Switch, they're bombarded with games. You know what I mean? They're just literally there's loads of stuff, and then if it's not that, there's loads of toys, absolutely loads.
Yeah. It's like what you were saying before there about the Bretonian set you got. That kept you going for years.
Hmm.
I can totally relate to that. Because when I look at the Warhammer stuff I've got now compared to what I had then, I mean, I had nothing then, really. I mean, I thought I did, and it kept us going for years, like you say, but there wasn't really that much. And new purchases, because of the expense, were few and far between, to be fair, because I was still only young. Like I say, I bought more when I got about 20 because I was a student. They were giving us money for pretend to learn.
Hmm.
So I was able to buy stuff then. But all the time before then, it was just like paper round money and,
Doing
little
leaflets,
stuff,
cutting
whatever jobs
grass.
I had and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be five a week. Mine be five a week pocket money with me fiver paper round money. That tenner got me, I mean, to be fair, the five I would get us into town on the bus, a blister pack from GW, a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and back home again.
Oh yeah, man. Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that. I can remember like being able to buy Space Marine bikes for like £2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
£2.50.
Yeah. Well, £2.99 was your standard blister pack price. You did get cheaper ones, £1.99. You even got some 99p ones. And there was some 3.99s, and you could buy was it Regiments of Renown, which came in the big hard plastic boxes
Oh, the yeah.
that you couldn't open. You had to open them with a hammer. It was like
Yeah.
it's supposed to slide. It's got me finger. Yeah.
The big
They
double
were
clam
fun.
packs. Yeah, I've come across them
Yeah.
before my time, but I've come across them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hate them. I think only I've had two.
I mean,
I
like,
think the fourth and Dark Elves and some of that I can't remember.
I
Um,
remember going into Games Workshop and like there used to be large sections of blister packs, like large sections of them. Now it's
that's all it was. When I started going, that was all it was. You had a wall, an entire wall of Citadel blister packs, and then you'd have like a couple of sort of freestanding stands or half a wall section with Marauder miniatures.
Mm,
I think Citadel bought in the end, but I mean, I don't know. But they
I
done
think
some
so.
lovely fantasy.
I think they brought them in house. Like it was a subsidiary for a while or something,
Yeah,
and then
and
they
then
folded them in.
you had some boxes, but it was mostly blisters. The boxes were stuff like the original Metal Terminators, some of the games, which at times like Space Hulk and Bloodborne, what have you. But yeah, it was mostly you went in for blister packs.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Blister
One of the
packs.
last things I bought was a Baden, and he was £7. And I remember thinking, £7? I mean, he's actually, just by chance, not planned, he sat here.
Ah, yeah, man. I love that old miniature.
Look at that, on his 25mm base.
I know, man.
with Flock and Goblin Green.
Ah, yeah. I'm surprised. For the
Yeah.
truly classic touch, I was half expecting the rim to be Goblin Green as well, just to
Oh,
go with
and
it.
I've always had a black rim. But,
Each
but
to
I've got
their
a
own, I
cream, I've got a
suppose.
cream for it now. So,
Yeah, might want to get that looked at, bud. Yeah. We'll have a look
but
in the old.
actually, there's a Marauder miniature, now.
Well, see,
What do you
I
think?
only knew about Marauder because I was big into the dwarfs. A lot of the dwarf slayers.
That's a Marauder giant ogre.
Ah, sweet.
He's not as blurred in real life, but with the original 90s paint job again with Goblin Green and Flock, but again about £7, £7 or £8.
Back in the day, yeah, Jesus. Well, I mean, back £7 or £8
That
back then.
That was expensive.
Yeah, that was a fair bit of money.
Yeah.
I remember going through like the price list for stuff like, and it's never been cheap. You know what I mean? It's never been cheap, the old GW stuff. But it's the same for the likes of Lego as well. Lego was never cheap. It was always a few quid.
Well, my dad told us that now I'm not going to tell you how much he used to pay because quite frankly it was something like 2 and 6 or something like that.
Listen, pound, shillings, and pences.
I know all about pound, shillings, and pences from playing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. That taught me the pre-decimal sort of monetary system.
Right.
I didn't live right, but I learned it from that. But he told me when he was a young, like 11, 10, 11, or what have you, he used to get his pocket money and he'd go to the local toy shop and he'd buy a little box of Lego and you got some bricks and they came in a cigarette pack. And you opened the top and you got your bricks out and they fit perfectly into it. And you could buy the packs depending on like the type of brick you wanted, the colour brick you wanted. You could buy some red roof tiles today, or I'll buy some blue 4x2 bricks and all this. And he'd buy all these little bricks, these little ciggy packets with his pocket money.
That's gas, yeah.
That's quite cool, that.
Yeah, I mean, like
because he said with that you could build anything.
yeah.
And I know that's like Lego's thing, but I've put stuff together for the band. Like it's a TIE fighter. What else can you build with it?
Yeah. I mean, they
Oh,
still, yeah. I made a point like when I was buying the nephew like his first sort of Lego stuff. I went out for like there's different lines, so they have Lego Creator, which is like their old school core product where it is.
Yeah.
This is just a bucket of bricks. Go mad. So you know what I mean? As to start them off, I was like, yeah, we'll do that. But I know what you mean. Like if you're buying them, they're Ninjago sets or Star Wars or whatever it is. It's like in general, they tend to be kind of like action figure sets where they just build the.
There's a lot of bricks on bricks.
Yeah, very specialist pieces.
Specialist things. This can only be the cockpit for the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I mean, or it could be a fancy brolly maybe, but you know, it's not like, yeah. I know what you mean. I bought a few of those creator sets as well, just for padding. Because when we came to actually building something, you always used to like building bases.
Yeah.
You do need just bricks, and we didn't have any, so I bought a couple of the big tubs because I generally get them on air.
And they're tubs as well. That was part of the reason why I bought them for the unflit as well. Was like so he'd have a tub to put the rest of his stuff in. But I think he's gotten up to like big IKEA clear box at this stage. Like there's that much Lego.
We got to there. I mean, to be fair, there's a few shelves of it in that cabinet behind us in the Merc. Lights are off. There's a big IKEA box that, I mean, it's to the point where he can't carry it. It's too heavy. Which is full to the brim, like to the point where you've got to like rearrange it and pat it down to get the lid on. And then I've got like shelves of them up there, and he's got some in his room, and there's a shelf up there, and it's too much. And if I wasn't so born idle, I might sell some of it. But once you've built it, once you've taken it apart again, and it's gone back into Gen Pop with the rest of the Lego, it's gone. That's all I'm concerned.
Well, look, if you hold on to the booklets for them, you know what I mean? Like, I've often thought of that myself. I've often thought about going back and just trying to remembering sets. Because I know there's websites now where you can go and you can find the plans for old sets. So I'd love to go back just as like a little nostalgia trip for myself and go dig the box out of the attic and try and build those kits again. But I'm sure there will be bits missing.
It's a great idea, right? It's a great idea. Now, he liked the Batman stuff when the Batman Lego came out, the Batman Lego movie and that. So he had like the Joker's purple Cadillac and the Batmobile, and there was a one with Bane on it and one with Killer Croc. This great sort of like Lego crocodile dude. It was mint, massive figure, that big. And there was all, the Penguin's got like a stretch limo. And there was all this stuff. And the Riddler had like a little dragster thing. I think he came with the Batmobile in some sort of set. So he thought, well, can I get the Riddler one? I went, yeah, but we'll build the Riddler. It's one of the little, the little papery pamphlets. That's only about that big. So I got one of those, went, right, just build the Riddler. He's back in Gen Pop. We'll find him. Tip all the bits out. Took us 6 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Finding the bits. Looking for
the specific
the right colour.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I was doing that.
And the missus looking for bits with us. He was looking for bits a little bit and he gets destroyed. We went, right, we're looking for this bit. And even in the end, I had to use a couple of bits which were different colours, which didn't sit well with us. I didn't like that at all.
My brother was trying to do that. Yeah. He was trying to do that for the train set that I bought the nephew. He was trying to rebuild it. And it's a very specific sort of navy blue colour. It's not a generic colour, like, you know what I mean? You can't substitute it easily. And I remember the last time I was over with the missus and we were over visiting, it ended up with me and the brother and the nephew all nose deep in this Lego box that was spilled out on the floor on the blanket. Well, me missus and his missus were, on the sofa watching Coronation Street or whatever, and we're there with like little headlamps in it. I don't even know if I have it close to me, but normally we have little head torches for going fishing at
Yeah.
night. We're there with the head torches and everything, trying to
Oh,
sort through the
yeah,
bits.
no, it helps. I had my phone out,
Oh.
but with the torch on that. But yeah, headlamp would have been a lot better.
Yeah, the missus was laughing. It's like your builder's physique is showing. I'm like, grand now. I'm fucking sorted. But yeah, trying to find like those specific coloured bricks because they're not like standard colour ones, and you're there for hours just
Yeah.
scouring through them. So funny, man.
So yeah, I had plans to build a few things, and I got that one done first, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah, you're not.
I'm putting all this away now.
I'm not suffering again. I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
But
reckon. Yeah, I reckon it like me. The brothers had to go back to Lego to order because I think there was like some just one stud bricks that were missing, very specific, unique shape ones
Yeah.
that were on the missing list. And I think he's had to go and order them. But I'd like to do that. I'd like to go through my old set and try and remember. And I reckon I'd have to like order bits to actually get them rebuilt. That's if they still make them, because from what I understand, they don't make all the bits all the time anymore.
Do you know what? I have found them very good for stuff like that. I've never actually had a missing bit, to be fair, but there was I don't even know what it is. I bought it off a mate because my mate was flogging all his kids' Lego while I not from work, and he had it's one of the big shuttles. I think it's what's the ginger kid in the one of the new prequels? No, one of the new sequels. The Imperial officer. Anyway, whatever he's called.
Krennic, was it? No, Rogue One.
It might be. It's a little boxy shuttle with the big Imperial wings like that.
Oh, Kylo Ren, is it? It's black and it's got like the wings that go up.
You get Kylo Ren in the kit anyway, and you get.
It's probably might be his.
I don't know whose it is, but anyway, Kylo Ren's in there, and this is the point. He didn't have his lightsaber. He had the handle, but he's got like one of the. Normally, it's just like one of the red rods, red sort of like clear rods that you stick in for a lightsaber. But his has got a cross guard on it.
Yeah,
looks like almost like a little crucifix sort of shape. And my mate didn't have it, and I think I bought the whole thing for like 25 quid. So it was like, yeah, that's fine. But I'd sent off to Lego and said, I've got this kit that hasn't got the lightsaber in it, and didn't say I'd bought it second hand. And they sent us a message back saying that that's a very bespoke piece, and they don't have any on hand, but they'll get one to us as soon as possible. And about 2 weeks later, one just rocked up in the post in a little bag. Letter saying sorry. Felt a bit guilty because I thought, like,
abusing the system, Sid. Years ago, when I worked in the airport, I remember there was someone from Lego Corporation flying, because when they handed me their paperwork, I used to work in check-in at one stage, and then after that, I worked in like the baggage tracing department, and then I was like an aircraft dispatcher, which is like whatever. All right, but when I was working check-in back in the day, I remember specifically. There was this woman, and she must have worked for Lego, because the booking was under like the Lego company, the corporation. And I was like, so I checked her in and whatever else, and I was like, so do you work for Lego, or what's the crack? And she's like, yeah, yourself. I was like, never been, but loved it as a kid, great memories, all that good stuff. And she threw me one of them. I didn't ask her for anything, but she threw me one of them little figurines. So the way they had the little silver foil figurines. I reckon people who work for Lego just carry like a spare stash of Lego men with them, and just like, there you go, happy days.
Was this like the little blind bags?
Yeah, it was a little blind bag. I think they were only out at the time. They were only kind of new at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was a few years ago. But I remember she threw one of them at me. I was like, mint. You know what I mean? Happy days.
Pretty cool, mint.
But I've noticed that
a few of those, like the full sets of those, up in me cupboard. The Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter one, which was like 24 minifigures in blind bags, and I got all 24. Sorry, the Ben got all 24. And the first Batman one, but the Batman one was like the Batman villains, And I don't know if you've seen the Batman movie, like it goes through all the villains who are like joining in, and it's listing like Eraserhead, Calendar Man, you know, the calculator and stuff like this. And he goes, "Yeah, these are all real. Check them out. Google them." You know, and it's like these can't all be real, but yeah, they are. So I've got those, and I always wanted to make a little display frame. You know, one of them boxy frames you get to stick it on the wall with them on. I never got around to it.
Yeah. But I think I've seen videos of people doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that was something which people were doing at the time. Etsy.
Yeah, I get you.
Was
Do
rife
you
with it.
know what I've always wanted to do and never gotten around to doing? I've always wanted to make a 40k chessboard with chess pieces. You know what I mean? Like where you'd
Yeah,
get it, where it would be like probably Space Marines on one side and Orcs on the other, and you'd have like, you know, Orc boys as your pawns and maybe like bog standard Marines as your pawns on the other side, you know, and then just go through different characters would be different chess pieces.
yeah.
Like I've always thought of doing that, but I've never bothered me whole to actually do it. I mean, it wouldn't be too expensive at this stage. I've got so many bleeding miniatures, you know.
Well, I've seen somebody do it and put a YouTube video up for it, and they made a. It's not 3D, but it's this thick a chessboard. It's about 2 or 3 inches thick, but it's all sort of like perspex, and it's lit from within, and you can change the colours, the LEDs, and all this, and it's all futuristic-y and all the. Yeah, it looked pretty cool, to be fair. I mean, I don't play chess very often. Occasionally play the Ben because he likes it. It's getting to the point he beats us now, so stuff like that.
So you've given up on that sort of thing.
Hero Quest at chess.
Yeah.
I'm bribed to play Hero Quest with chess. Fucking hell. But yeah, I think I tried to do that back in the day, but it was just putting minis on a board. I've got 10 of these, or 8 of these. These are the prawns. You know.
Yeah. Like I'd like to make a chessboard like just using plastic art and stuff. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of fun. But you know, another project, another idea. I'll get around to it eventually. Something to aim for in retirement. You know, 30 odd year from now. We'll see who's knocking around the comments section. Roxy's here. Why Lego win mini? That's what Lorcan is saying. I remember having some intention to get the 40k second edition in '93, but that never happened. Hobby saying he's still alive, but his love of 40k not so much. We know, bud.
Oh, he's not mentioned that to us before.
No, Red Cossack win. The 2 Void 2 spiny pieces force came out. Fists were thrown, fighting over the 4 of them we had between us. I don't know about that one. Maybe it's too far back at this stage. There's 40k chess computer game, says Lorcan. Oh, I know that, but I mean like just sort of as a project, as a board game.
Do you remember Battle Chess?
Battle Chess.
Yeah, the computer game. I think I had it on the Amiga. Whether you played chess, but the little dudes like animated a little walk towards them and club at each other and hand grenades and.
No, I don't remember that one.
Quality.
Let's go. Yeah, well, I mean, like that's in Harry Potter, isn't it? Like that, where the chess just kills each other, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, this was before Harry Potter.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's where she was inspired.
Star Wars put it with claymation, like what?
Back in the day, yeah. It's absolutely mint ones. So, with the new edition coming out, eventually Orcs will be getting a new codex.
Next spring.
Jesus, another
spring
book.
24. That's they've done the time scale. Stuff happened. Orc spring 2024. Some other stuff. I don't remember the other stuff.
I mean,
like, I do remember thinking, "Fuck, it's spring. It's spring now."
Yeah, it's.
So you're talking best part of a year away, really.
It's time is flying. I mean, the Nids are getting a new codex, aren't they? Like, they got a codex not too long ago, though.
They're like the poster baddies of this edition. Yeah, Necron. Was it Necron's in the last one?
Necron's in the last one, and then hold on. Yeah, it was Necron's in the last one, and then it was like Death Guard the one before that, and then Chaos 2 on a row, and then going way back to 5th Ed, it was us.
Right.
4th Ed, it was Nids. So 6th, 7th Ed, it was Chaos. 8th edition, it was Death Guard. 9th, it was Necrons.
Right, well, it's Nids again.
It's
So
needs again.
11th should be Orcs.
Yeah, actually, yeah, 11 should be
That's
Orcs.
how they're going to do it. Like, roll it round.
I mean, I'd love it
like
if that was going to happen.
Yeah. But,
Second
yeah,
Ed was Orcs.
Nids are in there, but the Nids got a Codex this time last year.
I was posting that in the group, actually. I was like saying, if I was a Nid player, I'd be furious, man. Another Codex already. Is there taking the piss, like?
I think you can get away with it if you're going to also do it like if you're the poster baddie, because you get an absolute range like refresh. You know, you get everything. It's not just and that's changed, suck it up. It's look what you're getting. Ah. I mean, obviously you're getting it. You get look what you've got the opportunity to pay for. And they give you loads. So I think that softens the blow. But otherwise, yeah, 12-month. I mean, we've seen worse, haven't we? If we're being honest.
I mean, like, I'm still sore about the fucking. I'm still sorry about the saga of the Beast coming out, buying it, still being in lockdown, never getting to use it, and then it going. I was like, for fuck.
Yeah, that was a bit ropey, like.
Then you know, but that's part of the reason why I went on to BattleTech. It's like I've got all my books now on grand, you know.
I'm done.
I'm done. You know, I mean, there's always new stuff coming out that you want to buy, but
Oh yeah.
you know, when there's a new version of it printed, it's like, well, we've added in the errata and the FAQ that you can get here, so you don't need to buy this book, but you know, you can if you want.
Mm.
You're not being pushed into it. It's a different sort of sales model.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they've said that when they bring these new codices out, codices out, whatever, every range will be getting exact words, some new models, which will mean one, maybe two for some of them, no doubt.
Well, then,
do you know what? If there's nothing Orc coming out for another year, happy days.
Yeah, I get.
Do you know what I mean? I don't need it. I'm happy. Just.
I mean, what did we get with the last Codex? It was like that big.
Last Codex was the whole Beast Snagger thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we got like the Beast Snagger Riders. We got like that big, huge Beast Snagger vehicle. That's name I forgot. Then there's like the boss on the giant Squigosaur.
Yeah.
And then the special character that came back, Warzog or whatever, wasn't it? Or
yeah, what Snagger, the little hermit, Herber. So you got him and the Beast Boss and the Beast Boss and Squigosaur, all the Squig cavalry, Beast Snagger infantry, the kill rig you mentioned, the Boss Head bunker.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
Easy.
It's like I keep forgetting about it.
It's not bad.
But it's not like.
I still haven't got one, but I might get one just as a terrain piece because it does, you know.
I mean, that's what it is, though, isn't it? It's a terrain piece.
Essentially, yeah, but just to stick doing it as a bit of scenery, like bump.
Yeah.
How much is that? It's just a fucking hoose.
I mean, Clint's actually building a Gargant for it, though, isn't he? I think.
Do you know what? I mean, he'll mention in the chat, no doubt. I can't remember if he's used that head or he's just. I think he just.
Or did he scratch build one? And it's very similar.
In a similar vein, yeah, but I think it's a little bit bigger as well. That's what's got us thinking.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I think when he's finished it, he's going to wear it like a coat and
he'll just show up to a meet just slowly, like
it's massive. It's massive.
Yeah,
looks class. Though he's done it. He's done really well. But I think that was all the other pain boss fella.
Oh yeah, pain boss.
The bouncy legs. And the little Marilyn Manson looking grot on a wheel.
Marilyn Manson, I love it.
Yeah.
So they brought out a fair. The Mega Boss was the Mega Boss this time around.
Oh yeah.
The new boys.
Well, this is it. I don't think I can't remember if they came out in the release. In fact, did they? But you've got the knob of the War Boss and Mega Armor, the new boys kit, and the Death Copters.
Oh yeah, new Death Copters. Yeah.
And obviously the Wartsnag, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean,
Because buggies were like what?
buggies were
Seventh.
were pre me.
Yeah. It's buggies were seventh, and that
I
was a
think
big thing for us.
they came out in well, it wasn't even October, was it? It was
No, they
November.
came out after October because there was a big hoo-ha at the time about it.
Yeah, I
Because
remember hearing.
they brought out like Speedway or whatever it was, like a board game, a game that I have up there that I still haven't taken the shrink wrap off the actual board game in pieces. You just sort of bought it for the boogies at the time, but yeah. So there's been quite a few like releases for Orcs.
I don't know when the buggies were. I don't know if it was October or November, 2019 or possibly 2018.
I think it was
Like I said, I remember it was before I got back into it, but I remember hearing
pre-COVID anyway.
about them. Yeah, but yeah, there's been a canny few. Some better than others.
This is true. This is very true. I still love the old Mega Knob
Oh,
kit.
Commandos as well. The Commandos were.
Yeah, for Kill Team. Yeah,
Team.
That's a nice kit. That is a nice kit.
They were very nice. I was a big fan of them.
I still haven't put mine together, but I've had a long gander at the sprues, and they do look mint. I mean, I wouldn't want more than one unit of them, but
well, I did buy two, but then luckily I've lost one. So
you've lost one. How would you manage that?
I don't know. It must be around here somewhere.
Oh, they'll crop up again. You know what you'll do? You'll buy a second box when you want to do a conversion. You'll buy a second box, and then once you've bought that second box, they'll reappear magically. That's usually the way of it.
Yeah, it's a knocking bet, really. Yeah. It was one of my mates. I think he was running out of stuff to paint or something. I was just sick of painting ultramarines and bloodletters, and he asked us if there was anything. He goes, "Got anything on paint for you?" And I was like, I suppose I've got some Commandos there. Kind of nice. I've done 10 of them, so I had no real inkling to do the other 10.
Yeah.
I said, you can have those. You can stick them together and
Have a
I
bash.
now do a good job with them. And to be honest with you, I'm not that bothered. If he wants to paint them, I'll still use them. But then I couldn't find them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I've had everything pulled out, and I'm pretty sure because I bought them from a bit site, and I'm pretty sure they're in a big sort of A4 envelope, padded envelope,
Stashed away.
But yeah, I don't know where they are. They will turn up. You're all right.
Yeah, that's usually the way of it. I mean, like, I'm finding myself, even with Battletech, it's like you don't need a lot of miniatures, but I've gone a bit nuts with the last Kickstarter. I bought some bits in this Kickstarter, but not a lot, because I already have a load of miniatures. But I've plenty to be keeping me going. I'm finding I've plenty of stuff to be keeping me going, and like 40k wise, I've absolutely no desire to buy stuff at the moment, and that's partly because I'm not playing the game really. And an important part of like the hobby is, like, for me, I get motivated to do a hobby if I enjoy playing the game. So if I'm not playing the game, I'm not driven to do a hobby. But on top of that, like, I fucking have buckets of orcs, man. Like, they could stop making half the kits for orcs that they have, and I've multiples of them, and I've bits. And like, for someone that's never worked for Games Workshop, I've quite a lot of orc stuff. Like,
yeah,
you know,
you mean for somebody who's never received the 50% discount?
Exactly. Yeah. More's to the point. I've never gotten the 50% discount, and I have shed loads of kits. Shed loads. Plenty of bits for the bits box. To keep Ash to me heart's content, you know.
This is it. I mean, I'm sort of there. I mean, I don't have as much left to paint, but I just figure like I've got nothing really that I wanted to get. I mean, I've always just built what I, made whatever I wanted to make. I've got half my models I've never used in the game. I just like to look at them, or had an idea and thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. I've only ever used one truck, like at a time, and I've got about 5. Just because I like the trucks. I like making trucks out of other factions. vehicles and old World War II stuff and that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things recently I've thought, oh, that would be a good idea to do something like that. And that's making us think, should I go and buy something? But I'm doing quite well, like I say, getting through the grey. So I'm going to focus on that for now.
No, I know the feeling. Like, there's a couple of conversions that I want to do. Like, I'd love to do a truck with a tarpaulin. It's not a proper like canvas backs for the trucks.
Yeah.
Instead of them being open, I'd like to do that. Something sort of like World War II era or Vietnam era or whatever. Because I've seen, like, I do see bits and pieces that scale modelers do, and because I do blood axes, I'm like, oh, that actually look really good, like as a conversion. So on the old bucket list there's I want to do like a green stuff tarpaulin or whatever, for a truck, because you generally don't see that. Like, when you see the Orc truck, it's always sort of open on the back, but it does have those rails to throw a tarp over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just never see them used for that. So I've always thought, that's something I need to do, is actually do that. I mean, Phil, you're one who actually gets conversions done, so feel free to steal this idea and go for it. Like,
yeah, I've done one.
Oh, you see, look, that's right, you have, haven't you?
It's not a full. It's just sort of like on the top and at the back, and the side. One side's rolled up, and your side sort of flapping where it came away. And it was
that the one with the tracks, wasn't it? It was something.
Yes,
with...
yeah, it's got the battle wagon tracks on the back. It is the truck kit.
Yes.
With the battle wagon tracks on the back. I think I give it an enclosed engine block. I used one of the bits off the flyer, one of the flyers, and made a scratch built like a closed cabinet as well, closed cab, and it's got the grot turret on it. But the top was just a Hessian shopping bag, like a really fine Hessian shopping bag, just soaked in PVA.
Oh, okay. So you didn't go like, there's a few ways you could go about it. There's what's that they call it, sprue glue or something, where they melt sprue down in like the solvent glue, and then like there's old school, like there's literally like old pate videos of lads back in the day. Yeah, they get paper and they crinkle it up to break up the grain of it. And then what they do is they put like that sprue glue on it, and it literally becomes like a plastic pretty much. So making, because they were doing Napoleonic figures. I think they were extending trench coats and whatever else, and doing like I think it was like Napoleonic Africa stuff, where they were doing like they had a cap, but then there's like this sort of material that would cover their necks from the sun, and they did that. They did like paper scrunched up, glued in place, and then they put the plastic over it, the plastic glue. So I've thought like that's a method that could probably be done to make tarps.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you done with Hessian bags and like PVA, that's another. There's loads of ways, or you could make it out of like milliput or green stuff or whatever. Like there's loads of ways to go about it.
I thought the way I done it, I've got to be honest, I did think it was a bit of a cheat, because it was just dip it and then just sort of like slap it on, poke it around a bit, and go, that'll
do. Yeah. I mean, it's like if it looks the part.
It was a nice texture. The paint afterwards as well. I'd love to dry brush up and sort of get like highlights on, and then I airbrushed a little glyph on top of it, and yeah, it worked out right. It was just a different type of truck, really.
Sweet.
But if you can, I suppose, I mean, I think if you can do it with green stuff, to me, that's like another level. That's something I'd look at. My green stuff is pretty. It's basic, just basic stuff at best, and it does the job. I did want to. I wanted to make a squig, a big sort of trampler squig-offy type thing out of what's it called? The stuff that you bake, the putty that you bake.
Oh, what's it called?
No,
I was going to say Bakelite, but it's not Bakelite. That's old like World War II plastic. It's
got somewhere.
I can't think off the top of my head, but I know the stuff you're on about.
I'm sure if Tim say he knows this. But I've used that stuff before when I've done that Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, that was that's mint, man. Are you going to do the second part to that?
Again, I mean, you can see there we go. There's the wedge.
Hold on.
That was a polystyrene block. You can just see in the
Ah,
background.
so that's the other half of Mount
Yeah.
Crushmore.
So the bit which is missing from here
Yeah.
is, I think that's it on the shelf. Not that you can fucking see, but that's it. Yeah. So I am going to get that and sort of flip it and put them back to back and trace around to get a size so they match up evenly and cut it. But the wire on my polystyrene cutter snapped.
Ah.
I was firing things from it like a little bow, just in a bit of downtime as I procrastinate, and I like an idiot, I snapped it. And if I try and cut it, it's too messy. I can't deal with it. So I've been meaning to get some more wire just to rewire me polystyrene cutter, but I haven't got around to it yet.
I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling. It's like, oh, it could be airbrushing if I replace the gasket, but effort.
Yeah. I do like me air. I've still got a shite airbrush.
It's the end results, man. It's not really like what you're sculpting with. Like some great artists used to just paint on old tat like instead of proper canvases, like bits of fucking wood and whatever, and it's
true.
They still look good. We've got quite a few comments on what it could be. It could be sculpty. Lorcan says it might be cheese. Roxy saying any polymer clay. A nice brie. Mind you, I think it would run everywhere.
Oh, I like the idea of that, like a nice brie, nice camembert.
Oh,
something like that.
Filth.
I think it is. I think it's super sculpy.
You reckon it's super sculpty? Clint is saying Fimo. Is it Fimo? FIMO?
No, I'm. Somebody said sculpty or sculpty.
Or super sculpty. Yeah. How you saying it?
That rings a bell. It's fantastic stuff though, because I was working with it. I was doing stuff. I was adding bits and a couple of rubs, and it's seamless. And then I was just putting it down and going to kip, and then going back to it like 24 hours later and just cracking on exactly what I got up to, and it works exactly the same until you pop it in the oven.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
And it just sets like a rock. So I was well impressed with it. You can't do it too thick. It's only like I think it's about a centimetre thick's your thickest, but you just make like an armature out of some tin foil. Or I mean, I was doing heads.
Oh, yeah, the tin foil backing.
Yeah, so I was making a tin foil potato basically.
I take it you can't make it too thick because it'll crack, is it?
Oh, sorry.
You can't do it too thick because it'll crack. I
don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. I mean, it could be that. I'm not 100% certain. See, I read something and I just go, that's the law. And I don't question it past that.
Yeah. No, it's probably due to like curing or shrinkage or something like that. Sometimes they crack. I get you.
Could well be. But it is really good stuff. So I wanted to make like a little, just try. I still will at some point. A little sort of squiggly beast. Just to see what it turns out like.
Yeah, definitely.
I will get onto it.
Like those mugs that you sculpted for the mountain looked absolutely mint. So, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do any squiggly beasts and they'd look mint too.
But then again, I think it's the same way like with the orky sort of Mad Max stuff. It can be a little bit slapdash, a little bit ramshackle, and that's part of its charm. When I was sculpting them heads, it was these are chiseled into rock by grots.
Yeah.
They're gonna be shit. Right?
Well, no, but they have an aesthetic to them. I do like that you've done them like that they're rock that's been chiseled out, but they still are very sort of characterful. You know what I mean? They still have an aesthetic to them, and they look good.
It was all based on the old. You know, it was said before when orcs came out, they were the old sort of like bit silly, bit daft.
Yeah, back in the second age days, Rogue Trader.
It's that sort of age. That's what I like to say. That's what I grew up on. I cut my teeth on with orcs.
Harken back to the likes of that.
I like the best.
I still have a little project in the back burner for eventually that harks back to the old Rogue Trader days, because I was a mad bastard and I decided, right, I'm getting into orcs, so I'm going to buy all the orc codexes ever. So I actually managed to get a copy of Warg the Orcs, the old lore book, and even going back to Here We Go and whatever else. And I was looking through, I think it was Freebooters or something like that, and there was you could get you could get units of Ogrins and Blood Axes back in the day. Used to be able to have Imperial advisors. So I went and
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I bought one of them Imperial commanders with the saber, with the sword, and then
Mhm.
I bought a load of, I think they were second or third ed Ogrins off of someone back in the day, pretty cheap for a bodyguard from. But I just need to get around to actually doing it. But I don't know, maybe it's because it's not something that you can actually use in game. You know, if you
Yeah,
were
I
playing
know
a
what you
game with
mean.
someone, so there's not
Yeah,
really that push to do it. But you know, I think it'd be a fun little project
yeah. But
eventually.
sometimes you've just got to think, oh, do you know what? This will look cool. Just
Yeah,
laugh it
yeah,
off.
exactly. They'd be like, "What the hell is that?" Oh, well, this is the Imperial Advisor. You know, he's here to advise us. You know, he's not here to influence in the way of the Imperium at all. At all. You know, sneaky gits. But yeah, I like the old lore. I like tapping into some of the old lore for stuff. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
Well, there was stories and characters, and I'm not talking like sort of like named character type things. Just there'll be a story about drug or something. It was just some goth lad, and just they're talking about the night after he's the
Been out on
night
the
out, or the
piss.
morning after
Yeah,
his
yeah,
night out on the crash,
yeah.
and it was just
Where's me truck?
yeah, that's it. Where's my buggy?
Yeah, and
I'm going to
someone's
see
nicking
them.
it.
I'm going to see that Death Skull met this morning. I'll get me best helmet. Oh, hang on a minute. Get me second best helmet. Thieving gits. Just
Yeah,
like stupid.
yeah, yeah,
But I used to really like that sort of stuff.
yeah. I think I
Game have
remember
done
that.
away with all that sort of stuff. I say done away with it. It's not like they got rid of it. They just stopped
Yeah, the direction went sort
doing
of.
off.
Yeah, yeah. They went in a different direction with the orcs, especially when it came around to Torded, where they went to sort of like a more bestial killing machine, less characterful, slapstick, dark humor.
Hmm. But it's sort of like they might have done that by sort of omitting the old little snippets of law and stuff. But really, I don't think there's anybody who's into 40k who sees, the orcs as different. It gets a little bit daft, some of the stuff, with the power of belief and all that sort of nonsense.
Well, how do you mean by like sees them as different?
Basically, if you watch something like a lore video of somebody, there's what's it? Adeptus Ridiculous is a one where it's I forget is he called Bricky, and he's talking to his pal who I swear down does the voice for Fry out of Futurama, but it's probably not him really, and he's telling him about certain factions, and he'll tell him about the orcs. And this video was out sometime last year, and when he's telling about the orcs, he's relating to him bits of lore from Rogue Trader, from Second Ed, from Third Ed, whilst Ninth Ed's going on. Do you know what I mean? He's not going through what GW are now sort of pushing forward as the mindless, just killing machine rage and all that sort of stuff. He's going through the daft stuff.
Yeah.
Let's face it, was more fun and was better in my opinion. He's going through all that sort of stuff, despite the fact GW haven't pushed that for years.
Right, but
But
yet that mentality,
still goes on.
yeah,
It
still
still goes,
lingers. Yeah.
yeah, because it's better. That's why.
Yeah, I find it's more interesting for me. Like it's more like sort of fun. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
like for me I enjoyed like the Fort Ed Codex, the shock attack gun, because
Mhm.
like it could be super powerful, like rarely, but it also did wacky shit like shot the mech across the battlefield, and it could blow up, or your
Yeah.
opponent got to shoot it at your units. You know what I mean? You could have fun with it. You know. I missed that kind of stuff really, where it
Well,
was
that's it. I mean,
wacky.
when I last played 40k in the 90s, there was a lot of tables. A
But I
lot of
love I
tables.
love a good
A
table.
lot,
I do. I
a lot,
love a good
off
table.
the chart. Realms of Chaos. What, 2 D1000 tables on it?
Ah, Jesus, yeah. But that's
God.
Realm of Chaos, though. That was pretty much
Well,
like a
Chaos
source
weapons and
book for a
chaos
role
attributes.
playing game, though. It wasn't. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
May had one back in the day, and I used to just sit down and roll Chaos Warbands, and you'd end up with like a giant toad with horns and 3 legs or whatever as well, one of your followers, and then You'd be rolling up random stuff. It's great crack.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was very sort of like role-playing game-esque.
Yeah, it was. It was. But it was great for those like you say, those war bands and that.
Mm.
They were awesome.
Can Asani finally managed to catch one live? You did, Can. Way welcome. I mean, we're due to wrap up any time now, but yeah, I managed to catch it live. What are they saying? Hobbygate is saying, wow, so much cheaper than Sculpty. What's this? They must be talking about Fimo, I think, is it?
Is that the female stuff?
Tinner pieces, yeah. They were talking about sculpting stuff for quite a bit.
Weren't they the lizard men with one eye that used to be in Warhammer?
The Famir.
See, that was...
The Famir, and they're based off of Irish mythology.
Are they?
Yes, there's creatures called the Famor, and yeah, Baylord and one-eyed and his Bale eye. I think it was like, you know, it needed it had an eye that would destroy things. So the description of it is kind of like a giant laser cannon, but it's not, because his eyelid, I think, needed like 7 men to open it. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's pretty funny, like. But yeah, the Famir were made by Games Workshop staff for Hero Quest. That's why they're not in the new Hero Quest.
Was it?
Yes, it came out. The Famir came out for Hero Quest.
Because I had lead ones, and I had some. Hang on.
From what I understand, they were made for Hero Quest, but they were made. It's a Games Workshop monster. That's why it's not in the new Hero Quest. That and the Chaos Warrior. The Chaos Warrior is a Games Workshop
somewhere else, isn't he?
Monster. Yeah.
He's in the new one. It's they've got the Chaos Warrior in, but he's called some. I can't remember what he's called. Chaos Warrior.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, because for me, I'm sure they appeared in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Yeah.
Wahufurupg, as it was known. I'm sure they appeared in that. I'm just trying to think when that came out, though.
I don't know if it was pre or post Hero Quest.
I don't think they were in 3rd edition Fantasy Battle, which was the one book which had everything in. I don't think they were in that. Because that would definitely predate Hero Quest.
Because I do remember Forge World did miniatures for them for Warhammer Fantasy, but that was probably like, it wasn't back in the 80s or whatever. It was like 15 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Well, I had one, I think it was supposed to be like Sorcerer or something, and it had like big antler, or little short stubby antlers coming out the back of the head, and a smooth tail, like a whip, not a club on the end, because Sorcerer, and a mace and a breastplate, and it came on a 40mm base as well. It was quite a big one. The tail I was snapped off because metal.
The joys of metal. Yeah. Dame's delving into the Famir seem largely ripped from Irish Celtic myth Famori. I think you spelled that right. Yeah, the Famor. Yeah. It was kind of it's kind of a rip from Irish Celtic mythology, but Games Workshop and ripping concepts from elsewhere. Jesus, that's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's I noticed that in Hero Quest that they changed some of the stuff. But like, are the orcs still called orcs in it and stuff? Or
they're still they're called orcs. I mean, they can't.
No, you can't copyright orcs because it's like Lord of the Rings stuff. Like,
well, I mean, orcs from folklore as well. That's where they originated from. But yeah, that's why they've done the whole orc thing, wasn't it?
Oh, pretty much. They can't copyright ORC.
Yeah.
Or even ORK, really. I think that's even.
You can't copyright a misspelling.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's true or not, but it sounds feasible. But yeah, there's still orcs in Hero Quest. They're different orcs. They're more sort of Lord of the Rings. I say Lord of the Rings. The human with orc heads, big buff humans, not like how GW orcs are kind of like totally out of proportion. Sort of thing. These are like just big. Think World of Warcraft.
Right. Okay.
Similar to that. And I think instead of Familiar, they put in some like fish people.
Oh, are they like what are they called?
You know, because dungeons look be crawling with them.
Is it like sort of Call of Cthulhu, like Dwellers of the
Yeah,
Deep or whatever,
yeah. Was it deep ones?
or something like that? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
But it's basically their like tridents, and I'll have to have a proper look. But I think he's just got like a fish head, you know, just stuck
yeah.
on it.
Deep Dwellers or
Um,
whatever, Fishmen. Yeah, that's sort of
yeah.
Call of Cthulhu esque sort of.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember the deep ones from that vaguely.
Yeah, sweet
We
man.
played a lot of those role plays now back in the day.
Did you? I've never actually played any of the Call of Cthulhu role playing games, but I've heard great things about them. Like people have
Yeah,
reminisced about uh, characters going insane and then just losing their marbles and all
yeah.
sorts of
There was a lot
weird
of that.
stuff. You know.
It was kind of though that of all I mean, when you're playing any sort of game like that, you don't just want to be interacting with cultists, other humans all the time. You've got this whole I don't know if it was called a bestiary, but you know what I mean. All the different creatures,
Yeah.
and there's fucking loads, dozens and dozens, and so you want to be sort of like seeing them, but pretty much everything in there is
Cautious
like
sanity points, doesn't it?
yeah. You're not talking about what do you think? What can this party take on? Fucking nothing. Nothing. That's the size of a skyscraper. You know what I mean? It's stupid. What you got? I've got a 1920s revolver. Rubbish. Well, we played a game in a campaign, and I'd done a few campaigns with a character before, and he was great. He was brilliant. He was dead experienced, which meant he was really good at driving a car and picking a lock. Right? He still wasn't taking anything down in combat.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we came face to face with Cthulhu himself, and this was a campaign from like a published campaign. It wasn't like just some GM having a bit of a power trip. And we came face to face with Cthulhu, and the first rule is every turn D3 players die in his presence. So roll the dice, two, roll the dice, you and you're dead. And the six were playing it at the end of the campaign. I'm like, what? You're dead. If I fail to make what roll?
Oh no, you're just dead.
You're dead.
Yeah, fucking.
I was like, well, that's marvellous. Thank you very much for letting us play. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, bastard. It was just like,
Well, that was the
that seemed
point.
harsh.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, the stuff in there, yeah.
I mean,
You've
like,
got
yeah,
to go carefully with it if you're running the games, because everything in there just destroy a party. It was always more sort of trying to figure things out as opposed to just, I'll charge in and shoot the ghasts. It was all like, proper roleplay type thing, not just
more murder mystery figure stuff out. Prevent the
yeah.
cultists from summoning them. Then, oh no, they've summoned an elder god. We're kind of all screwed.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. But there was some fun ones in that.
What's Hobby? He's cracking on about jokes about Celtic mythology or something like that. He's gone down a rabbit hole of his own. How many of you in the old comment section have thrown some coin into the next Kickstarter for Battletech is what I'd like to know. And how much are you willing to admit? I haven't gone too mad. I'm only
Is
down
this the one that's up in the millions?
Oh yeah, the one that's like 7-something million. Yeah, that's the newest Kickstarter. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of impressive, that mind.
Mm.
What was the target?
50,000. It's like, right, if we make 50 grand, we're sorted, lads. It's like 7-something million. But I think
if you'd done something like that, though, I think if I'd said, right, let's see if we can make 50,000 on this Kickstarter. What's it at now? 7 million.
It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I have a bumhole like a rabbit's nose. I'd be absolutely terrible. Oh, God, the pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit much for me.
The War Boss's advent calendar. You'd be like, Oh, it'd be so funny. But yeah, no, it's looking good. It's mostly aimed at mercenary factions.
Mm-hmm.
which are just like, you know, generic player factions. Players make up. There's mercenaries in the lore and whatever, but you know, most players will play a campaign where you're mercenaries and you're being hired by different houses in the game. So it's a mercenary campaign, but they're bringing out the vehicles in plastic. So here, you know, there are some of the vehicles that you could get in metal, because it is a look at the blatant dust on this fucking thing. Jesus, there are vehicles currently, but they're in metal, so they're bringing them out in plastic. So they're reproportioning them correctly, scaling them within themselves, and then they're bringing out more infantry, some more power armored infantry. You know what I mean? You'll get some hovercraft. These the ones I have currently are, I think, the RAL party. What year is this? 80 what? 88. Yeah, this scub's as old as me. The base on it, and then 92. So you know, a lot of them are very vintage sculpts, but you know, you'll still be able to use them. What's the sculpt on this one? 1994 apparently is when the old LRM launcher came out. Boy, Jesus, the dust on them. So up until like they've literally still been making these. If you were buying them in metal, you were getting like you were buying a sculpt from fucking, you know, nearly 30 odd year ago. You know what I mean? So they've started updating some of the vehicles, which is pretty cool. What's this? RAL Party 88, same age as me. This sculpt, Jesus. I mean, it still looks decent, but they're very 1980s, which is pretty funny. Like they're very sort of retro. Like 1980s sci-fi has a lot of like soft edges and swooshes and spheres and stuff. You know what I mean? Like some of the hovercraft are hilarious looking. Like some of the transport hovercraft, like very 1980s, very bubbly. You know, like looking like a Nissan Micra from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, compared
That
to
car used to have a nice arse, so.
True. Love metal. I'll die in a metal mountain, says Roxy. We'll bury you under some lead. Don't worry. We'll give you a Viking burial under lead. It'll be like Get Shorty. There'll be instead of chain, it'll be lead miniatures. But yeah, did you guys get much hobby done tonight, Sid? Did you get a fair bit done? We've rocked into, I think we're 2 hours and 15 in.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I stopped a lot.
Ah, sure, that happens. The same for
I'll
myself.
see if I can do me little
close cam. Guess close cam.
Close cam. Let's see if this will work. I set this up before to just.
Oh yeah, the table. Let's see if your trickery works.
Right. Make sure I'm up the right way.
You're not from the land down under again, no? Wait! Oh, there you go. Yeah, Jesus.
There we go. So you see, that's a dusty keyboard. Obviously, I didn't clean that. Go on. Just do a focus.
Oh. Wait! There we go.
Yeah. So
he's looking proper swank.
Put a scope on it.
Oh, no, I like the scope, man.
And look, tactical sight. Oh yeah, I've done Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And he's getting there. Or put him under the lights. That might actually help.
Oh, it did massively.
So he's on the high.
He's got a bottle and a glass to drink it from. He's not just swigging.
Well, it's a bottle. He's got a bottle intact.
And a broken one. He's ready to shiv someone.
Oh, and then he's ready to do some damage with that. And then the final one, just little. Where are we? Jesus Christ, I'm good at this, aren't I?
I'm like, how much have you had to drink?
And he's on the higher now.
Ah, yeah, nice. Yeah, that looks sweet, man.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there.
Sweet.
Texture board for me. Dry brushing.
For your dry brushing, yes. Don't be using paper, apparently. You don't want to take too much moisture.
All the moisture out.
The moisture out of your dry brushing. Very grainy then, you know. Didn't you know? I managed to get some base in on a few more mechs, and I've managed to get some base coats on. This is a unit that I'm actually... I got some green base coats on these lads. This is actually an army, I suppose you'd say. It's a company to be used in a campaign, so it's 12 mechs, but I've tried to put mechs in that are ubiquitous in the game, so they're very common mechs. The whole idea is the campaign is played out in the edges of the galaxy, so it's really hard to come by stuff. So I've tried to pick mechs that are very common, So, you know, they'd actually get out that far and you'd be able to still buy parts for them. So there isn't really any rare mechs in this force. They're
Yeah.
all very common mechs, and they're not the best variant of them either. They're just generic ones. So that's the whole point of this force, is for a campaign, an old Civil War campaign on a planet, and super common mechs. That's the idea behind them. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm using some of this AK interactive paint. That's what I'm going with. It's a very strange range. I've bought some blues, and it's the only time I've come across a paint range where it's like I've bought the same paint twice, and it's been a slightly different color. So I love the coverage on it. They're really nice paint, but it seems I've come across like that there's inconsistencies with the paint as well.
Yeah.
So it's not the May West for a paint line, but you know, maybe it's just a hiccup. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. I've tried a few of their paints, not too many, mind, if I'm being honest.
I've got a good few, but like they're good, they're grand. Like now that I'm packing paints up and stuff, it's like, oh Jesus, I'm realising I've loads of Citadel paints, I've Vallejo paints, I've this range, I fucking speed paints. There's like so many for a man who doesn't paint that much. I've quite a lot of miniature paints. You know what I mean? So I need to get the finger out and get using them. You know, like this bottle of primer I've had for 12 odd year. That'll tell you how often I paint.
I've got one of them up there. They don't go down though. You're right. Is that the
Surface primer? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't go down.
Yeah.
It fills up.
It's like a never-ending bottle, like, or yeah.
Little fairies come to your room at night
and fill it up and top it up with black paint. It's like it's still going strong. Yeah, it's good crack. Well, yeah, it's been a good laugh. We'll have you on again soon, Sid.
Thank you.
Hopefully by then 10th edition will be out, and we'll have more mechs painted. We'll be able to talk some Battletech, some 40k, maybe even some Lego again. We went down that rabbit hole. I wasn't expecting it, but hey ho, that's what happens on the Hobby Hangout. So there's no issue there, you know. Bit of crack for everyone. I hope you've all had fun. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe so you don't miss out. If you enjoyed the video, hit the old like button, because apparently YouTube loves that sort of thing for the old algorithms to spread the word and share with people. So if you'll smash the old like button, that would make a massive difference. Apparently, I'm shilling there. But that's the old beggar ball out. Please like, please like.
Shackles. Give me your likes.
Well, that's it. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for doing some hobby, and we'll see you in the next one in 2 weeks. Take it easy. Hey.